This feudal lord is highly scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226, Skill Selection, Career Optimization. A river runs across the river. Lin Ke and his team brought all the food and walked down the Tobus River. At this time, Lin Ke was discussing his skills with Aofu. His body had fully recovered at the beginning of this year, and he could already use skills. His professional level was not as high as others, and it could even be said to be very low. Main profession, level 10, knight, level 10, scholar, level 10, leader, level 6, scientist, and level 6, inventor, and there are a lot of auxiliary professions, such as painter, author, staff, etc. Because this is the advice Aofu gave him. In many cases, level does not represent everything. As Lin Ke, who had read many novels in his previous life, naturally knew this truth, so he slowly polished his somewhat superficial foundation and did not pursue changes in level. In the end, his highest level did not exceed level 10, and now, he needs to build skills. He has not yet determined the skills of his main profession. Before, he could not build because his body had not recovered. After recovering this year, he often discussed with Aofu. So, teacher, I think I can start with wind power, thermodynamics, electricity, and optics. Lin Ke was still struggling at this time. His first skill was pressure. After using the Wand of Annihilation and witnessing the terrifying deep sea pressure attack of the ancient Fishman Emperor, he did not want to give up this pressure skill, but wanted to strengthen it. In addition, Lin Ke knew that the destructive power caused by thermodynamics was very large. The crystallized nuclear bomb of the previous life's technology had extremely terrifying power of instant explosion. Of course, many powers were very strong in the end. The most important thing was that Lin Ke told Lin Ke that in terms of light and darkness, it was easier to break through the master with the help of the power of the Gila royal family. Master. The master level is in existence after level 28. Although it is far away from Lin Ke, it is always possible to imagine it, right? As we all know, luminous objects must generate heat, but heat does not necessarily generate light. Luminous objects will generate heat in the physical sense. Light and heat complement each other, so optics and thermodynamics are both within Lin Ke's consideration. As for electromagnetism, this is also a powerful force, which happens to be what Orf is good at. I think your idea is very good. I think so too. Aofu walked beside Lin Ke and chatted with Lin Ke. As for mechanics, you can build skills on knight, but have you thought about what skills to build for your inventor and scientist? As he said, Aofu patted Lin Ke on the shoulder. If you really can't think of it, we can go to the abyss to buy a few skill circuits to learn to build. Skills can be bought. Just like the magic spells and fairy arts that Lin Ke saw in his previous life, the skills here can be bought and sold. For example, Aofu bought a skill from the Gila royal family. But Aofu had no money at the time, and Lin Ke has money now, but Lin Ke wants to build the most suitable combination for himself, so he didn't buy it. Okay, it's also good to buy it for reference. Lin Ke didn't refuse. Anyway, he has a lot of money now, and those skills are not completely useless after buying them. In many cases, it is convenient to have more skills, but they are not as labor saving and powerful as the skills in the skill position. Teacher, about electromagnetism. Lin Ke started discussing electromagnetism with Orf again, which made Lin Ke beside him doze off and almost fell asleep while walking. Garros and the people of the People's Knights were no longer surprised. Anyway, they were a bunch of reckless people and basically couldn't understand. Nyx began to whisper with Lalita. Sophie and Ramir exchanged their experience in singing pronunciation, and Laplace and Yale were discussing chess. During the march, other nobles appeared one after another. Lin Ke also stopped communicating with Orf and moved forward, concentrating a little more. The teams on this bloody road can attack each other. Of course, the nobles are not encouraged to do so. After all, there are many other races on this bloody road. This road is not protected by the Kingdom of Gila, and any noble on the road can be attacked and robbed. because only the nobles who have truly experienced blood and fire can be considered to be tempered into steel. The nobles relied on the attacks of foreigners to train their troops, while foreigners took this opportunity to rob property like robbers, and might even sell people to other countries as slaves. This road is full of blood, chaos and killing, and it takes about a week to reach the abyss. This week is a test for them. Although Aofu is in the team, Lin Ke still played up his spirit. He didn't want to lose people on this road. Even before the nobles' deliberation began, people died. That would be too much of a loss. So, Lin Ke signaled to the people behind him, and one of the knights immediately raised the flag. The red Azan flag embroidered with the noble's coat of arms, and the Dahuang Azan flag with the Chinese words Dahuang written on it, and a red background. At the same time, everyone except Aofu began to exude a vague aura. This is to tell the intelligent life here that they are not easy to mess with. Whether it is a large team or a small team of nobles, they will use similar methods. Of course, the main target of foreign attacks is also those small nobles, and people like Azan are not considered. So Lin Ke and his companions traveled safely for a whole day, and then camped in a small forest. The fire flickered. Lin Ke finished his meditation, and began to try to construct several skill patterns that he had already experimented with. First, the scholar. His first skill of scholar was a streamlined air pressure shield, and later he developed a method of air pressure blade, which was very practical. Now that he had the protection, Lin Ke was ready to construct thermodynamic skills in the second skill. The zeroth law of thermodynamics, the first law of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics, and the third law of thermodynamics. These 4 laws will constitute 4 of Lin Ke's current 5 skill positions. The pressure in the first skill position is actually one of the few macroscopic state quantities in thermodynamics that can be directly felt and observed. Now, Lin Ke is constructing the second skill position, temperature. The zeroth law of thermodynamics: if 2 thermodynamic systems are in thermal equilibrium with a third system, the 2 systems must also be in thermal equilibrium with each other. This was the basis of all the laws of thermodynamics in his previous life, before he crossed over. This is also a very easy research to do. Lin Ke has already completed the experiment with several scholars recruited from Dahuang City and proved the relevant laws. His professional feedback was also obtained from this, and even those scholars benefited a lot. So, absorbing heat, or dissipating heat, or both. Chapter 227 Crazy Bull Man. The woods were cold. Lin Ke slowly recalled the content of the laws of thermodynamics, and finally decided to absorb or release heat. Combined with the second law of thermodynamics, heat cannot be transferred spontaneously from a low temperature object to a high temperature object. Second skill, 0 degrees. Third skill, overheating. The 3 blood vessels after meditation danced slowly. His 3 blood vessels were like 3 small trees, with many branching branches in addition to the main trunk. On the leftmost knowledge, 2 leaves slowly stretched out from the main trunk, scholar, branch. One was 0 degrees and the other was overheating. The process of constructing skills is not difficult, but the difficult part is to discover the principles behind the skills, and then to construct them. The 2 small leaves floated gently. Lin Ke smiled, and exited the soul space. In the camp, Lin Ke, Geros, Orf and others gathered around a fire, and the people around them were talking and laughing, and there were people standing guard, and chefs, who were cooking. There was no other way. It wasn't that Lin Ke and his friends were extravagant. In order to ensure food safety and nutrition, they could only bring out a chef from the great wasteland city. He cooked quickly, and in large quantities, and soon they could satisfy the knights. Is it built? Aofu saw Lin Ke open his eyes, and looked at him expectantly. Yeah. Lin Ke felt it, ran it casually, and then looked at the fire in front of him, stretched out his right hand, and aimed it at the flame. Skill, 0 degree. Everyone didn't know what was going on, they only knew that Lin Ke was using a skill, so they watched and watched. The flames on the fire swayed, and then shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye, from a fierce fire to a weak fire, then to a flame, and finally extinguished. Not only that, everyone actually felt that the heat in the air was dissipating, and a hint of coldness was coming. Even the moisture in the air was turning into ice chips. and the ground under his feet was gradually producing some ice particles. Aofu was a little curious. There was an electromagnetic force lingering around him. Lin Ke's power could not affect the area around Aofu at all, and the same was true for Garrow's. But Aofu was still curious. Other people's ice spells are to spray out cold air or freezing rays, but Lin Ke's doesn't seem to be. Wait a minute. Lin Ke felt that the heat he absorbed was all gathered in his right hand, and it could also flow through his body and even be used as an energy source. In other words, as long as there is enough temperature around for him to absorb, he will not starve to death. He can even feel that his cells are also benefiting from this energy. It's just that he can't absorb too much energy now. His physical container can probably only absorb energy equivalent to his level. However, his third skill can be released. Skill: Overheat. Lin Ke stretched out his hand again and aimed at the fire, and the heat he just absorbed instantly gushed out. The firewood that had just been frozen hard began to carbonize and turned into a pile of charcoal. But when Lin Ke released all the heat, the fire didn't ignite again. The surroundings became warmer again. That's it? Garrows was quick-mouthed and couldn't help but speak directly. In his opinion, changing the temperature was not as refreshing as stabbing with his lance. Lin Ke glanced at him. Skill: 0 degrees. His 0 degree is not limited to his hands, but can be used all over his body. Just move your eyes. Garrows felt his son using skills on him and smiled indifferently. Come on, come on. Lin Ke did not move his body and accelerated the operation of the power of Scholar. The temperature around Garrows dropped instantly. Small ice crystals hung on his eyebrows and the mustache on his upper lip, and his clothes became cold and hard. That's it? Garrows smiled again, and the power of night quietly operated. His blood and ki churned, and all abnormalities on his body disappeared. 15th level Night Garrows. It can affect my mobility. Well, very good, very good. Garrows deliberately teased his son. After all, Lin Ke's body could not use skills before, and he did not dare to stimulate Lin Ke. Now, he can stimulate him. Oh. Lin Ke's mind moved, and he used 0 degree and overheating back and forth in an instant. The temperature around Garrows was hot and cold, and the temperature went from low to high without excessive, and then from high to low. After a few seconds, Garrows couldn't help but sniffed. Interesting. Lin Ke also stopped and said helplessly, "Father, you are too powerful, I can't influence you. Night is really annoying. His body is like a furnace, and he has strong control over his ki and blood." Lin Ke switched between two skills, and could only make Garrows snort a little. But thinking that a level 10 professional could have an impact on the level 15 Garrows, it was pretty good. If it was a professional of the same level or a lower level, Lin Ke could do better. While they were chatting and laughing, several knights on the periphery suddenly blew shrill whistles. Mission: Crazy Wild Boar. Every 20 years, the wild boar tribe on the Bloody Road is inexhaustible and has a huge impact on the small nobles participating in the Nobles Review. You need to help and save 20 valuable nobles. Reward: the second artifact fragment. It appeared. The second artifact fragment. The first artifact fragment was rotten wood. This artifact fragment provided Lin Ke with great convenience over the years, greatly shortening his meditation time. Now, 12 years later, the second artifact fragment appeared. This made Lin Ke feel like he had collected Dragon Balls. However, a group of wild boar people, Lin Ke and his companions stood up and looked around. One by one, the professionals burst out with their own aura, and all the knights rode on their mounts. Then it was off. He took out the thunderstaff and gently paused on the ground. An unimaginable aura spread in the woods. Use thunder to shatter the darkness. Orf's slightly irritable voice sounded as if it was thunder in everyone's ears. So the shadows that had just approached the camp were frightened and fled in panic, and only a few people saw what they looked like. Wild boars? Garrows had just ascended to the sky and was descending now. He should have seen the black shadows. I remember that we killed all the wild boars last time. The reproduction capacity of wild boars is indeed very strong. AOF echoed at this time. It's just that it seems that the wild boars here are not the ones from the Holy Life Alliance. These wild boars are targeting those barons, but I don't know how many of them can survive. Garrow shook his head. He had also been hunted by wild boars before and finally escaped to the abyss. In this case, let's go and kill these wild boars. Lin Ke stood up and made a decision. For the human race, the most important thing is unity, and unity is strength. This strength is iron. This strength is steel. Harder than iron. Stronger than steel. Chapter 228 The Man Who Swallowed the Sun. Garrow was very supportive of Lin Ke's decision. Very good. He is a man of courage. This is the descendant of our Razan people. The descendant of a hero. Garrow was always very satisfied with his son. He was also a passionate person. He was very supportive of Lin Ke's decision. AOF closed his eyes and spread his mental power. After a while, he opened his eyes and pointed in a direction. Over there. There are a group of wild boars. The highest level is level 15. Lin Ke blew a whistle towards the jungle and then shouted, "Gather!" Roar. With a roar, his mount, the lava lion, ran out of the forest, and Zyrozingan also fell from the sky. Lin Ke put on the enchanted armor, took out the enchanted longsword, turned over and rode on the lava lion. Cry. Zyrozingan also flew above his head, with blazing flames coming out of his body, which suddenly illuminated the dark sky. Many Gila nobles walking on the bloody road saw this scene. What is that? A monster. Phoenix. How can there be a phoenix here? No. That thing looks like a parrot. A parrot from the south. It's Count Lin Ke. The little nobles exclaimed one by one. At this moment, the people's knights roared out of the woods and rushed in a certain direction. The leader was Lin Ke riding a lion. 4,000 knights roared past these nervous little nobles. Then, there were 6 people riding green pythons. The 6 people came out of the woods slowly, talking and laughing, as if they were not walking on the bloody road, but on the lawn. Come on, the wild boars in the bloody land are very difficult to fight. The sturdy man in the lead came to the nobles and touched the 2 small mustaches on his upper lip. Of course, if you want to follow voluntarily. As he said, the 6 people rushed in the direction of the knights. Some barons and viscounts outside also recognized Garrow and his men. That's Viscount Azan. Boorman. How difficult are boormen to fight? Ha. Just now I felt the breath of a 15th level boorman shaman. I'd better follow him. The nobles had different expressions. There were also 3 viscounts among them, but the strength of these 3 viscounts was not as strong as Garrow's. They just barely reached the bottom line of the Earl. The bottom line of the Earl was the strength of 15th level, but Earl Ackley was promoted by relying on money and directly hired a 15th level strongman. Some Earls relied on excellent equipment, some relied on powerful armies, and some relied on outstanding diplomatic means. But no matter what, the lowest standard is 12th or 13th level. None of these 3 viscounts reached the 15th level, but there were some vague fluctuations around them. It seemed that they wanted to try their luck to see if they could be promoted. Garrow's, but a standard 15th level. He rode on the 7 inches of the giant python and walked forward slowly. Someone wanted to ask why he didn't go to support his own son. Is he his biological son? But thinking of Earl Lin Ke's strength, Earl Lin Ke's people's knights, Earl Lin Ke's teacher. That's right, why run so fast to support? It's better to walk slowly. So some of the small nobles followed Garrow's. You have to know that the way to be conferred as a pioneer knight, in addition to being conferred by the superior nobles, is to go through the bloody road once every 20 years. So many low-level professionals enter the bloody road at this time. Of course, the 3 viscounts were proud of their status and did not follow Garrow's. Just kidding. The face of the nobles is more important than anything else. Garrow saw that the 3 viscounts asked their men not to follow, and a flash of admiration flashed in his eyes. Still a little ambitious. Then, Garrow continued to look forward. As he moved forward, there was a sound of fighting in front, and there were frozen corpses on the roadside. Wild boar corpses. These wild boars were fat, with a big fat belly similar to that of a freak in October. The cloth clothes they wore had not been washed for years, and their bodies were smelly and huge. The arms and chests were covered with thick black bristles, and the heads were those of wild boars with a face full of flesh, which looked hideous and terrifying. Garrow looked at the corpses and raised his eyebrows. There were no obvious fatal wounds on the bodies, but the muscles on the bodies were atrophied, as if they were sucked dry by something. The further he went, the more wild boar corpses that were sucked dry was seen. If you didn't know, you would think there was a high-level, charming beauty who was good at taking yang to replenish yin. Then, Garros saw his son. Lin Ke led the knights to attack. 90% of his knights had only been trained, and few had seen blood. Those who had seen blood were those who had fought against Warcraft with him before. He finally understood why the people of Count Blackclaw were willing to come all the way to help him. Training. Seeing blood. A knight who had only charged in the training ground was nothing. So this was a good opportunity. After Lin Ke heard about the bloody road from Garros, he immediately became interested and brought the entire knights here. Generally speaking, the fewer people participating in the nobles' deliberation, the better, and the stronger the better. Moreover, the methods of the nobles' deliberation are different each time. For example, the previous sale of Tulip was very embarrassing, bringing 50 people. However, Lin Ke brought more than 1,000 people. His idea was to take this opportunity to train his troops, and when he reached the abyss, he would let the people's knights go back. Of course, he also came here to practice his skills. Gilugu, eat, kill, gurglagu. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared in front of him. It was the wild boar with red eyes. The wild boar opened his bloody mouth, and 2 protruding fangs rose high from his upper lip. But the wild boar, full of murderous intent, saw the aggressive Lin Ke and his group, turned around and ran, shouting loudly while running. "Is this a sentinel?" Lin Ke raised his hand, and the power of scholar quietly flowed. Skill 0 degree. Gurgle gurgle. The boar man screamed in fear, but the boar man, who was only level 3, had his body heat taken away in an instant, and soon even his heart was frozen. The people's knights were not hindered at all, and continued to move forward. However, the terrified howl of the boar man just now pierced the night sky, causing pig heads to swarm in the darkness, and there were thousands of boar men in the distance. "That's about right." Lin Ke grinned. He was still afraid that there were not enough to kill. His enchanted longsword pointed to the front and shouted, "People's knights, our enemy is there." Everyone's eyes changed accordingly. Some were excited, some were passionate, some were looking forward to it, some were reminiscing. Some were afraid, and some were nervous. There were too many boar men there. "Oh, it's exciting, boss. I found the feeling of the past." The originally virtuous Lalita was the first to speak. Her eyes sparkled, and she swung the 2 enchanted rivet hammers, instantly transforming from a good wife and mother into a crazy girl. "My hammer, sweeping in all directions." "Haha, good." Lin Ke laughed, waved his hand, and released a lighting spell that turned into a ball of light floating above his head, and then shouted, "I will lead the charge." Chapter 229. Wild Boar Shaman. I will lead the charge. Lin Ke raised his sword high, and the illumination magic above his head showed his position clearly. The illumination magic was like a ray-like spotlight, and it also illuminated the smelly pig heads in the distance. Both sides saw each other. So, the pig heads over there came like a tide. "I will follow you all my life." John spoke after Lalita, standing on the lava lion, opening his hands, and waving his fingers quickly, as if playing a piano. Then countless fine lines shot out, and connected to each knight. Butler skill, coordination. "You are my only light." The look in Nix's eyes, when he looked at Lin Ke, was always the same as when he first saw him, as if there was a gentle and kind light shining in his eyes. His body was ready to go, and once there was a wounded person, he would ensure that he would go to the wounded person and treat him as soon as possible. Praise the great wilderness. Praise Lin Ke. Ramir and Sophie looked at each other and praised loudly. The former's voice was like reciting, and the latter's voice was like singing. Bard skill, praise. Singer skill, sing. Everyone was shocked, and endless power emerged, and their small universes exploded. Their skills gave the entire knights a 20% to 60% increase in power. Even Ramir and Sophie hadn't stopped yet, and their voices became clearer. One was reciting poems, and the other was singing music. They had worked together many times before, and had performed various performances in the wonderful land, so they had a good understanding. Increased speed, increased strength, increased defense. Buffs were thrown out by the two of them crazily, and added to the knights. Lava chessboard. A clear voice came from Yale's mouth. He was holding an ordinary wooden go chessboard in his left hand. This was a championship souvenir made by Lin Ke himself. His right hand was clenched, as if he was holding a handful of black and white chess pieces. His right eye burst out a foot-long white light, and his left eye was so deep that only pure darkness remained. The black and white colors intertwined. Yale waved his right hand heavily and shouted coldly, "Lion Star formation." One by one, the shadows of black and white chess pieces fell on the heads of the crowd, and then the formation of the entire team changed. From a high place, it looked like a roaring lion. Lion Star formation. This is the art of changing the military formation that Yale learned from Lin Ke. Combined with the military theory he learned, he finally summarized the most suitable military formation for attack. The strongest military formation for attack, Lion Star formation. And Lin Ke is the core of the Lion Star formation, the head of the lion, the fangs of the lion. Roar. Cry. The lava lion under Lin Ke's seat roared, and a blazing flame suddenly appeared on his body. At the same time, the whole body of Xiao Xingan above Lin Ke's head was also wrapped in flames, and flew to Lin Ke's head. Roar. 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 The lava lions mounted by the knights also roared, and their bodies were burning with flames. This kind of flame will not hurt those who recognize it. It has only been a moment since Lin Ke finished speaking. The entire Knight's Order seemed to be a flaming lion running forward, exploding, burning, boiling. Despite countless trainings, some people who went to the battlefield for the first time still felt uncomfortable, nervous, and even afraid. These were all normal reactions. But when they saw the dazzling illumination technique in front of them, and Lin Ke who was even more dazzling than the illumination technique, their fear disappeared. The People's Knight's Order, fearless. People's Knight's Order, charge with me, Lin Ke shouted, and the lion under his seat began to run wildly. The aura of the wild boars on the opposite side was high and low, as if it was a wild boar tribe. There was an obscure aura hidden in the middle of the wild boar tribe, and Lin Ke could only sense that it was above level 15. But with Aofu there, he didn't worry too much. The highest level of Lin Ke's Knight's Order of 1000 people was only level 14, and there was no knight above level 10. But he was sure that he could kill an epic warrior of level 18, and he could also kill professionals below level 15 as easily as cutting melons and vegetables. This was the basis for the human race, to stand above all other races. When the Emperor Wu Mian led the black and white knights to charge, no force could stop them. Lin Ke was now fearless. When he saw that the distance was about the same, he immediately mobilized the power of the scholar to form two air pressure blades on the flanks that looked like gliders. Skill, pressure. At the same time, his whole body was absorbing heat from the wild boar man. Skill, 0 degree. Then, the heat was continuously converted into thermal energy, making the impact force and burning sensation of the knights more obvious. Skill, overheating. At the end, Lin Ke burst into a loud shout, charge, 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 charge. The knights shouted together, and then the first skill of the knight, charge, burst out. Charge, 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 charge. Whether they were new or old, their souls gathered together at this moment. For example, Lalita and the others even missed the days when they charged together to fight against the monsters more than a decade ago. And the wild boars opposite them. Gilu-go. Run, run, run. Gilu-gilu. Go call the great shaman. Gulp. It was obvious that the wild boars of this tribe were facing the charge of the human knights for the first time, and they were in great chaos. Thousands of wild boars were in a mess, and only the hundreds of wild boars in armor in front looked decent. However, when the two sides collided, boom. If the people's knights were like a roaring flaming lion, then the wild boars in front of them were like two small mounds under the lion's feet. Just step on them lightly, and they are gone. Destroy with overwhelming force. The wild boars' attacks could not break through the flames of the people's knights, but the uniformed lances and sabers of the people's knights could easily penetrate the bodies of the wild boars. Led by Lin Ke, the people's knights were like a sharp knife, cutting back and forth in this temporary camp of wild boars. The wild boars screamed in fear, and some tried to fight back, but found that they could not be beaten at all. There were no old people or children among the wild boars here, and they all looked young and strong. If the wild boars were not famous for being lazy and vicious, Lin Ke would have wanted to pull these wild boars back to repair the road. It was a pity that Boljak did not come, otherwise, as a slave owner and capitalist, he would have controlled a few thousand wild boars easily. During the charge, Lin Ke also rescued several captured nobles and his followers. Just when he rescued the 8th one, a lightning bolt struck the vortex of fire formed by the people's knights without warning. One of the first level knights screamed and bled immediately. However, when the knight was about to fall, Nyx had already turned into a residual image and came to his side. He gently stroked it with his furry hands and threw out 7 or 8 doctor skills. Lin Ke squinted his eyes and looked not far away. Level 18, Great Shaman. An ancient and backward profession. By the way, you played with thunder and lightning in front of my teacher? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Difficult Star Level Shaman. Profession Shaman. This was one of the most powerful professions in the Holy Life Alliance when Andrew Jost founded the professional path. At level 18, you will become a Great Shaman. But this profession is too old. It is a profession that uses one of the 4 elements of thunder, wind, water, and fire. However, to advance in this profession, you need faith. It is a profession that is both like the path of God and the path of legend. This profession has long been eliminated and abandoned by the Holy Life Alliance. I didn't expect to see one here. Lin Ke's mind moved, and he immediately turned around and rushed over. The boar shaman was hunched over, with his hideous head hidden under a piece of black cloth. In his right hand, he held a staff made of skulls, and dozens of boar shield guards holding oak shields surrounded him. The boar shaman opened his mouth and raised the staff in his hand high. Saphodopa. Cyrilius. Gunaseng language. A blue lightning as thick as a bucket shot out from the boar's staff. This is the lightning shaman. Charge. Lin Ke quietly activated the power of the night, merging with the lava lion under his seat and the little luck on his head, and even with the entire knights. Boom. The lightning and the flames collided with each other, and for a moment, they actually blocked the people's knight's charge. Lin Ke frowned slightly. An ordinary level 18 player could not stop him. It would be easy for a level 18 player to kill 1,000 level 17 professionals. But it is not so easy to kill 1,000 charging knights. It seems that the people's knights can only contend with level 17 professionals so far, and level 18 is a little difficult. Lin Ke thought in his heart. And the boar shaman who stopped 1,000 people by himself did not slack off. The thick plasma shot directly at Lin Ke, and 99% of the power was dispersed by the flames and shared by the entire knights, but the knight's charge was also blocked. At this time, some of the surrounding boar people were gathered by the boar shaman and began to attack the people on the flank of the knights. Although few of them were attacked, Nyx still started to heal the wounded and ensure the status of the knights. Rika. Seeing that they could not make any progress, Lin Ke shouted. Behind him, Lika immediately took out her pink scepter and pointed it at the shaman. Wow. The grass under the feet of the boar shaman swayed back and forth like crazy, and in an instant, it grew upward, grew larger, and hardened, turning into vines like steel, wrapping around the shaman. Bang bang bang. A layer of shield flashing with lightning appeared on the boar shaman's body. Those vines lashed like whips, but they could not be broken at all, and could only serve to block the vision. The boar shaman's lightning continued to bombard Lin Ke in front of him, and then was blocked by the flames, making it look like the two sides were connected. Sakabaha. Darudo. The boar shaman opened his arms, and maintained the lightning output to block the knights. But he gathered the power of thunder in his palm again, and then turned it into hundreds of strands, and merged into the bodies of the wild boar shield guards next to him. Ho, ho. The bodies of the wild boar shield guards suddenly began to expand step by step, becoming dozens of meters high, with leaping lightning surrounding their hands and bodies. They began to run towards this side, and the boom sounded, shaking the earth. This is the traditional shaman fighting style. while strengthening the subordinates' meat shields, using various spells to consume them, and preparing powerful attacks at the same time, solving them all at once. Lin Ke understood. The core of this fighting style is a shaman. Without the shaman, the others are just chickens and dogs. But the most difficult to fight is also the shaman. Countless protection, a large amount of output and loyal followers. And to fight this kind of shaman, humans in ancient times knew how to fight. That is to target the shaman. Shaman is a core. Facing this ancient profession, Lin Ke maintained his charge and shouted, "Falcon formation." Upon hearing this, Yale raised his black and white eyes and pressed his right palm down. Falcon star formation. Immediately, all the power gathered on Lin Ke. Falcon hunting. 1 strike to kill. 0 degree. Lin Ke activated his own skills at the same time. The endless heat energy flowed in at a high speed, and Lin Ke's body absorbed all the power like a sea absorbing hundreds of rivers. The original Falcon Star formation was a formation that gathered everyone's power on Lin Ke. Different from the original Earl of Giant Sword, Earl of Black Claw and others, almost nobles have only one way of ruling, either collectively, all the power is evenly distributed, and the damage is also distributed, such as Earl of Black Claw. Or it is individual, all the power is gathered on the commander, such as the army of Earl of Giant Sword. Originally, Lin Ke could only choose one way. After all, it takes a long time of training and running in for the army to be integrated. But he has Yale, chess player Yale. John was responsible for connecting everyone together, while Yale was responsible for changing the military formation. And Lin Ke and Sophie. Sophie, the territory of destiny. Lin Ke shouted. So Sophie immediately opened the thick book in her hand, titled Sophie's Music Score. Turning to one of the pages, Sophie immediately chanted, "Will is our only." The notes whistled out from the music score and turned into 7 or 8 silk threads connecting Lin Ke and her. Sophie's aura rose directly to level 10, and at the same time, the energy on her body was thick, consistent with Lin Ke. Double eagle hunting. Lin Ke leaped up from the lava lion, and Sophie followed closely behind. The two could not fly, but Lin Ke created a thin air pressure blade as a springboard, and the two rushed towards the wild boar shaman. In the nights, Lalita drove her mount forward 1 step, and served as the center of gravity to resist the shaman. Without Lin Ke and Sophie, the pressure on the entire knights increased dramatically. The huge lightning bombarded everyone while they were charging. That's powerful. Lalita laughed and spit out 2 mouthfuls of donated blood. Then Nyx pressed her chest and the little internal injury she had just suffered were healed immediately. She glanced at Nyx, who had turned into a white shadow, with a charming look. They are fighting. The white shadow froze, and then continued to move through the crowd. Lalita was just teasing Nyx casually, as if Nyx was still shy. She swung her 2 big hammers vigorously, with a fierce wind, and her eyes became brighter and brighter. My big hammer, sweeping all directions. Ha ha ha. Yale was so scared that his hands trembled. Gan. Yale, don't be affected by Lalita. Lin Ke felt that the power of chess player connected to him shook, and his soul was flying. Okay. Yale calmed down. In his mind, Lalita had always been a good wife and mother, until today her true colors were revealed. At this time, Lin Ke and Sophie had passed the running giant wild boars, and came to the sky above the shaman. However, at this moment, the shaman below looked up at Lin Ke with a hint of a sly smile on his face. Boom. A huge momentum burst out. Star level. Is this shaman hiding his strength? Exclamation mark. Chapter 231 Swallowing the Starry Sky. This Borman shaman, he is hiding his strength. In the situation just now, either Lin Ke and his team were worn out by the endless stream of tall Borman attendants, or they were killed by the shaman's powerful skills. So Lin Ke and his team had no choice but to implement the decapitation tactic. Who knew that this Borman shaman was actually level 20? Exclamation mark. This is a starlight shaman. Exclamation mark. No match. Retreat. Lin Ke's face was serious. Sophie was flipping through the music score clattering, singing hum softly, and stepping lightly on the air. Pressure plate to retreat. On her and Lin Ke, layers of fiery red musical notes appeared on their bodies. The musical note shields were visible to the naked eye. Lin Ke had more on him, and she had less on her. Lin Ke and Sophie retreated quickly, but the attacks from below followed them like a shadow. Despair entangled. The Borman shaman stopped the thick lightning attack, raised the staff made of skulls high, and pointed it at Lin Ke. He was speaking the common language of Nassim. Then, grey smoke continuously emerged from the eyes of the skull on the skull staff, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a column of smoke and rushed up. Accident. I was a little careless this time. I can only say that professionals above level 10, no, as long as they are professionals, they cannot be underestimated. There are many strange professionals in assaying, who knows when they will be tricked by accident. Lin Ke frowned, but he was not panicked. He concentrated his breath and calmed his mind, and the power of scholar on his body flowed. Skill. Air pressure. Endless air pressure formed a human-sized shield in front of him, with about 1,000 standard atmospheric pressures. One standard atmospheric pressure is about 100,000 par of pressure, which is equivalent to bearing a force of 10,000 kilograms. This is a professional above level 10. In the previous life, such a strong atmospheric pressure could instantly crush a person into a meat pie. But now, with the help of the Falcon Star Array and Sophie who was assimilated by the Destiny territory, Lin Ke directly strengthened the first skill to a terrifying level. Haha, Count Lin Ke, who can't be stopped. Go to hell. The boar shaman laughed wildly. In front, those boar men who were dozens of meters tall and looked like giants had collided with the knights. Although they were large in size, they were directly smashed into pieces by the knights, like cutting melons and vegetables. But at this time, everyone's mind was on the sky. The grey smoke column was entangled with a desperate and terrifying aura, which seemed to contain endless wailing and pain. If you touch it, you will die. Unless you let your teacher stop it, you will die. You will die. Ha ha ha. The boar shaman laughed wildly, and 2 lines of bloody tears flowed from his scholar eyes. His aura declined to level 18, as if he had suffered great damage because of the smoke column. Lin Ke looked serious and directly took out the wand of annihilation. That smoke column can't be stopped. At this time, those grey smoke columns rushed straight over, but they were blocked after hitting Lin Ke's air pressure shield. Blocked. It can't be stopped. Haha. The boar shaman's laughter stopped abruptly, and then he said in disbelief, how is it possible? What kind of wind law is this? Wind? This is pressure. Lin Ke smiled in his heart, but did not answer. There was obviously something wrong with this matter. He would capture the shaman and ask him in detail later. Use pressure to wrap the smoke column into a ball and then throw it towards the shaman below. At the same time, endless heat was absorbed by Lin Ke again, and a huge heat hole appeared in the night sky. It's you. The one who devoured the sun. The glory of my lord cannot be desecrated by you. The boar man's eyes widened, and his aura, which had just weakened, suddenly began to rise. Lie. This boar man still wanted to deceive Lin Ke just now. The boar shaman's aura weakened after using the grey fog just now, but who knew it was also fake? At the beginning, he was level 18, and then pretended to be seriously injured. This boar shaman seems to have a lot of experience. Even a legend like AOF would probably be fooled if he is not careful. This is the difference between research professionals and practical professionals. In terms of promotion, practical professionals may spend 10 times more energy, but still fail to be promoted. But in combat, research professionals simply cannot beat practical professionals. Since this unknown boar shaman in front of him knows Lin Ke's name and the existence of Aofu, it proves that he is not the rootless boar that Lin Ke imagined. Either this boar tribe comes from the Holy Life Alliance and is under the command of the monarch of the Holy Life Alliance, or this boar tribe is kept in captivity by someone in the Gila royal family, specifically to target him. Or these boar tribes, although living outside Gila, still often read newspapers, so they know him. But no matter how I think about it, I feel something is wrong. Gila's bloody road, the cowardly monarch of the Holy Life Alliance has eaten the heart of a bear and the courage of a leopard, and dares to touch the most ancient memories of the human race? The monarch of the Holy Life Alliance and the chief of the Everfrizz Council are not enough to beat Woomian with one hand. If this tribe belongs to the moon goddess or the great prince, then it is a little possible, but they who are under house arrest should not have the ability to do so. The third possibility is even smaller. Then, after the cunning and treacherous wild boar shaman learned about Orf and his power in the newspaper, would he come to fight him head on? Moreover, Lin Ke had also talked to Geros. The aliens on the Bloody Road are generally scattered tribes from the elemental forest. These tribes will enter the Bloody Road at the nobles' review every 20 years, slaughtering or kidnapping nobles to obtain wealth or ransom. But no matter what, we should capture him first. Lin Ke also extinguished the idea of training soldiers and looked up and shouted, "Teacher, capture him alive. I can't beat you, but my teacher can." Lin Ke put the annihilation staff in his hand back into the space ring and continued to try to absorb the heat around him, devouring the sun. I also devour the starry sky. The wild boar was too cunning. The so-called glory of my lord was probably a smokescreen, fake and true, true and false, and Lin Ke didn't think much about it. After his body reached its limit, the power of scholar suddenly started to work. Skill, overheat. A huge amount of heat poured directly from the shaman's body. In an instant, he was like a crater, and the ground had turned into magma. At this moment, Orf turned into a thunderbolt and struck down instantly, like the god of thunder descending from the sky. Orf's hair and beard were all stretched out, and the top of the thunder staff turned into a thunderball, and then used it as a sledgehammer to hit the shaman in front of him. The staff burst out with high temperature plasma, and the arcs on the shaman's body were directly sucked into the gem on the top of the thunder staff. This is one of Orf's most familiar combination skills, which includes the mechanical power amplification and the electrical thunder power. The legendary power made everything on the battlefield pale in comparison. There were even cracks in the void around Orf, and the lightning element within a radius of 10 miles were almost looted by the shaman and Orf. Electromagnetic King Ofu, I caught you. To everyone's surprise, the boar shaman showed a strange smile, took out a human skull from his arms and crushed it, and then the aura on his body suddenly surged. Legend. Chapter 232, The Strong Men of Nasam. Abyss, Gila Palace. It is spacious and magnificent. The main colors of the palace are platinum and dark red. It looks majestic and elegant, noble and refined. This is the Gila Palace. In a certain hall, a group of people gathered. Emperor Wumian was wearing a platinum king's suit. There were several legendary magic fluctuations on the king's hat on his head. He held a sword in each hand. In his left and right hands were the tall and quiet moon girl and the smiling prince. Emperor Wumian sat in the first place, and there were other places below. The first person on the left hand was a blurry light, emitting huge heat and light, but they were all blocked within a meter around him. There was a non-human alien with closed eyes in the light. The first person on the right hand was a long-horned deer wearing a sky blue robe. The horns on the deer's head seemed to be crystal ice needles growing from the top of the head, looking like ice spikes that had just fallen. The person on the left hand was the actual helmsman of the Holy Life Alliance, the sun god, Polo Boita. The person on the right is the current chief of the Everfrizz Council, the strongest of the Ice Crystal Giant Deer clan. Behind these three most powerful forces are some other small forces. Most of the leaders of these small forces are from various alien races, and there are only a few small human kingdoms. 8 Grand Dukes, including the Grand Duke of the Mountains, are also in office. More than 100 legends. Almost all the main legends of the entire nation are here. Emperor Wumian sat at the top, closed his eyes, and seemed to be sensing something. The many legends and gods below were similar, each like a sculpture. Suddenly, Emperor Wumian's right index finger moved. The expressions of everyone in the hall moved involuntarily, and it was obvious that their attention had been on Wumian. But Emperor Wumian suddenly opened his eyes, and the laws in the hall suddenly changed, as if endless light appeared from his eyes. The laws of light were cheering and jumping for joy. At the same time, the laws of darkness were expelled in an instant, and there was no shadow in the entire hall, and even the concept of darkness did not exist. Under this huge law of light, everyone else in the hall was suppressed, as if they had really become sculptures. The law of light, like a raging wave, hit everyone hard. Everyone's proud law attracted into their bodies, and then appeared behind them to resist the huge pressure. Roar. A shadow appeared behind a dog-headed god. It was a huge black god dog, howling at the beasts. A prismatic ice cone appeared behind the 8th Counselor of the Holy Life Alliance, the Frost Wolf King, exuding the breath of the law of ice. Wind, lightning, snow, fire, strength, mountains, ice, earth, life. All kinds of laws retreated into everyone's body. Under the law of light, they struggled like a small boat. Only a few people could maintain the laws around them, but they were just the difference between a small boat and a small fishing boat in the sea. The sun god of the Holy Life Alliance was emitting a faint light around him, barely able to resist, but it was also very difficult. He didn't look like a sun god, but a candle god. The other one was the ice crystal giant deer, whose entire body seemed to have become an ice sculpture, emitting a faint chill, but it was no more than half a meter tall. Behind the others, there would be shadows of laws or bodies. If not, they would probably be blown away by the aura of the Wumian Emperor. Only the sun god and the ice crystal giant deer could not reveal such shadows. Everyone looked at the Wumian Emperor above in horror. The Wumian Emperor was angry. Everyone retracted their gazes, not daring to look directly at the Wumian Emperor, even the sun god and others. The Wumian Emperor first looked at the moon goddess on his right. The moon goddess's expression was not good at this time. She frowned and shook her head. The Wumian Emperor glanced at the eldest prince again, and the eldest prince also shook his head with a serious face. So, the Wumian Emperor stood up and took a step forward. Emperor Wumian, the bloody road cannot be interfered with. At this time, the ice crystal giant deer stood up and spoke under pressure, and his voice sounded like a cold female. Emperor Wumian looked over and said, "Did you release the shaman?" With just one sentence, the body of the ice crystal giant deer almost collapsed on the spot. "It's not me," the ice crystal giant deer said in a cold and indifferent voice, "but this is the rule set by your human race. If you go down, the wild boar people will be slaughtered." The meaning of the ice crystal giant deer was very simple. The bloody road was a fair battlefield for the alien race and the human race to fight. They should not interfere. That's a legend. The legendary shaman, the Duke of the Mountains, stood up at this time, with a majestic look. "Legends will destroy the balance." Behind the Duke of the Mountains, there was a faint roaring giant phantom. "As far as I know, the bloody road does not stipulate that legends cannot enter. If possible, the Overlord can also go down." The humanoid light group transformed by the sun god slowly stood up, with a loud voice. As the sun god stood up, as if to resist the pressure, a bird appeared vaguely behind him. Wild boars. Wild boars. Only the Holy Life Alliance has a legendary wild boar chieftain in Nassam. Grand Duke Greenleaf is a kind old man, with a towering tree behind him. "I think flowers are only beautiful when they bloom in blood, right?" Or Thin Plain stood up. The young man was naked from the waist up, and there were some faint bluefish scales on his thin muscles that glowed slightly. This man was like a fishtail, and he was actually a mermaid from the deep sea. Behind him was a quiet and deep night sky dotted with countless stars. Alshmir, I think you, the Prince of Stars, were not famous on the continent when you just came of age. The eldest prince also spoke at this time, with a hint of tit for tat with the Prince of Stars. "You just came of age. Can you fight against legends?" The prince of the entire ocean of stars and waves. The ocean of stars and waves, which is said to be able to reflect the entire starry sky, is also the largest ocean on the entire planet. The strength of the Prince of Stars should not be underestimated. However, compared with the eldest prince, he was only on par with them. "I can't do that when I just come of age. So I won't go to the bloody road to mess around when I come of age." Star Prince Alshmir had two fish scales at the corners of his eyes, which made him look charming and handsome. "It's just courting death. I think the bloody road cannot be desecrated or interfered with." Unexpectedly, the Grand Duke of Deep Blue did not openly help Gilla, but said in the next sentence, "But, we cannot tolerate foreigners running wild either." Everyone knows that the Grand Duke of Deep Blue is an extremely strict person, and he is extremely old-fashioned in both his treatment of outsiders and his relatives. Chapter 233 The Collision of Thunder and Lightning. Inside the hall, Deep Blue, a Grand Duke was slightly displeased and wanted to say something else. But Wumian waved his hand and said, "Enough." The two words came out of Wumian's mouth, but the whole hall could hear a pin drop, as if Wumian was not spitting out words, but laws. Logically speaking, the Nobles Review is a grand event for the entire Nassang, and it is also an event that all races, except the human race, hate. Because in this Noble Review, they will see with their own eyes that the Gila Kingdom has more powerful nobles. The stronger those nobles are, the more likely they are to seize their resources. There are endless planes, but Nasang is the foundation. The fishmen of Nasang are smarter than the dragons of the secondary planes. This is the arrogance of all Nasang people, and it is also something they are proud of. Only when there are more territories in Nasang can more powerful people be born, and more planes can be obtained in the heavens and stars. Therefore, the Nobles Review has developed from the beginning to the present, and it is not only a matter within the human Gila kingdom, but also a matter for the entire Nasang continent. However, Emperor Wumian is now in power, one of the most powerful kings in the history of the Gila kingdom. No need to say more. Wumian waved his hand at the crowd. Everyone's bodies couldn't help but sit down together. The shadows behind them could no longer support their bodies and were torn to pieces by Wumian's words. Bandana, kill the shaman. Wumian spoke again indifferently. Nasang, the human race is respected. Dark girl Bandana. Okay. The dark girl Bandana summoned her mount on the spot and rode it, coming to the dark range of Emperor Wumian outside the hall, and then turned into a dark and disappeared. Everyone wanted to talk, but Emperor Wumian sat back in his seat. He pulled out the two swords on the left and right with a clang, and then threw them down, crossing them in the aisle between the crowd. The two swords, one black and one white, were spotted, covered with rust and dried blood. Everyone's pupils shrank suddenly. The two swords closest to each other were the sun god and the ice crystal giant deer. There was a trace of pale white blood on the black blade, which was the blood of the last king of the Holy Life Alliance. The powerful white tiger who suppressed the sun god for 500 years was killed by Wumian with one sword, and then the current king came into being. On the white blade, there was an unmelted ice particle. Frost giant deer knew that this was a trace of law condensed on the sword after the ice and snow goddess, who was once one of the highest members of their Everfrizz council, was stripped of her divinity. In addition to these two, other large and small forces saw the horror legends they had heard before. People from large forces were terrified, while people from small forces would only feel honored if they saw the traces of their ancestors on the blade. Those who could be killed by Emperor Wumian using the black and white swords were all super strong. For ordinary people, Emperor Wumian did not need to take action, and his descendants could do it for them. With these two swords inserted there, no one dared to speak. Human race is respected. Do you have any objections? Wumian's eyes seemed to be burning like two suns, and no one dared to look at him. So, Emperor Wumian closed his eyes and continued to rest. As his eyes opened and closed, the laws of light and darkness quietly changed. The law of light faded, and the law of darkness spread again. The bloody road. Lin Ke's face changed wildly. Legend? Exclamation mark. How is it possible? Exclamation mark. The kingdom of Gila allowed legends to mess around in the bloody road? Teacher, retreat. Lin Ke shouted, and his body returned to the knights. The people's knights had stopped and stopped charging. Instead, they harvested the lives of those wild boar shield guards under Lin Ke's command. Without the interference of the great shaman, it was very easy to harvest. But that great shaman turned out to be a legend? Unexpected. And this great shaman targeted him and AOF, and it seemed that he came prepared. After all, anyone who was a little smart knew that Lin Ke would definitely come to participate in this noble review. You know, if you are promoted to a noble title, you will be rewarded with a plane. But Lin Ke has 3 enemies or conflicts, a moon goddess, a big prince, and a dark girl. The first 2 have conflicts with the entire Azan, and the latter controls the soul of Billy's butler. Apart from that, Lin Ke actually didn't offend anyone. Like those Warcraft kings, they are now his little brothers. Who could it be? Just as Lin Ke thought of it, there was an explosion over there. Lightning is my domain. The Boorman shaman laughed wildly, raised his hand, and used the staff made of skulls to block Orth's attack. At the same time, the lightning on Orth's body seemed to be attracted by an invisible vortex, flowing to the Boorman shaman's staff like water. The Boorman shaman is absorbing Orth's lightning power. Caught off guard, Orth's body was sucked and staggered. Life deprivation. The Boorman opened his arms and aimed at Orth, using that powerful electric current to suck Orth so hard that he couldn't move. At the same time, the skull staff in his hand shot out a grey mist with green light, which rushed straight to Orth's face. AOF was not panicking at this time. Although he was being sucked by the power of thunder and lightning, he still had other skills to use. Resistance ring. AOF's thunderstaff paused on the ground, and a vague light grey halo burst out from his body, spreading around with his body as the center. A skill belonging to mechanics. Resistance ring. AOF's specializations are mechanics, electricity, and now electromagnetism. Before, AOF was half a master of mechanics. The resistance ring spread outward, pushing all living things away from AOF. However, when it encountered the boar shaman, it seemed to encounter great resistance, and could not move forward, unable to push the boar shaman out. At the same time, the boar shaman's skills were also blocked by AOF's thunder pressure protective shield. What skill is this? The boar shaman opened his smelly mouth, and squinted his eyes. This was the second time his skills were blocked. In the past even people who achieved legends with the wind law could not block it. I didn't expect that AOF and Lin Ke's skills could actually block it. However, the boar shaman was very experienced. He raised his hand and the grey fog spread again. At the same time, dark clouds gathered in the sky and thunder and lightning exploded. Use thunder to break the darkness. At this time, Aofu's hair and beard were all stretched out, and his voice was loud. The true body of thunder. The law of thunder and lightning gathered around Aofu, and his figure quickly expanded, and his whole body formed a giant composed of thunder and lightning. The nobles who were advancing on the bloody road looked at Aofu in surprise. Even people far away in the Iron City could see Aofu's figure. Use thunder to break the darkness. The sound like thunder in the sky attracted everyone in the city to look over. After seeing the thunder giant more than 100 meters high, they were more shocked than each other. Legendary strongman. It should be the newly promoted legendary strongman Aofu. At this time, within a radius of dozens of miles, two different laws of thunder were rioting. Countless professionals looked up and looked at the place where the element were disordered. This time, there was a change in the nobles' evaluation. Exclamation mark. It's another happy weekend. Please give me a monthly ticket. Chapter 234. Torrent. The glory of Azan. There are other alien races on the bloodstained road, but the most numerous are wild boars. At this moment, all these alien races are shocked. On the bloodstained road, there are actually legends fighting? Exclamation mark. Don't provoke, run, run. Few other tribes have such a degree of unity as the Gila, and it is their instinct to seek benefits and avoid harm. However, the Gila nobles are not like that. Use thunder to smash the darkness. The king of electromagnetism. That is the breath of Lord Orth, the teacher of Earl Lin Ke. A legend has come to the bloodstained road. Support. We must support. Several earls and several stronger viscounts led their men to rush to the giant transformed by Orth. The reason why the human race can survive and become strong is precisely the spirit of restraining the instinct to escape. The nobles call it glory. This is the bloodstained road. The ancestors of the human race once fought desperately on this road to resist the attacks of alien races, shedding blood and tears. These nobles who rushed to Lin Ke still have some pride in their hearts. Of course, there are also some people who want to take advantage of the situation. They hide in the forest or temporarily retreat to the Iron Giant City. Anyway, there are still a few days before the nobles' deliberation, so they are not in a hurry. Most of them are speculators, the kind of low-level professionals who want to take this opportunity to become pioneer knights. They think very simply that, even if they fail to become nobles, they cannot lose their lives. However, when they fled back to the city, they found that the Iron Ring Marquis of the Iron Giant City was actually rushing towards AOF with his 5,000 iron soldiers. The Iron Ring Marquis was going to support. Boom. 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 The lightning giant transformed by AOF used the same enlarged thunderstaff to hit the wild boar shaman on the ground one by one. Although the wild boar shaman's body did not grow larger, every time he waved the skeleton staff, he could resist AOF's attack out of thin air. Ha ha ha, if I kill you, I can live. If I kill you, my people can live. The boar shaman was completely crazy, and brown juice flowed out of his body, as if it was secreted oil. The oil was suspended drop by drop, with lightning wrapped around it, rushing towards Aofu, and laughed hoarsely and crazy. Your lightning, I give it back to you. Those oils were the lightning that the boar shaman absorbed from Aofu. He absorbed the lightning, digested it, condensed it into oil, and then secreted it to attack Aofu. Disgusting attack method. But Aofu did not dare to be careless about those few points of oil, which contained evil and huge energy. Fortunately, he was not a person who could only use lightning, and electromagnetism was the law he really mastered. Gather, iron element. Aofu still maintained the giant form, and hammered the boar shaman again and again. The boarman shaman laughed wildly and resisted. The ground under his feet cracked inch by inch. The ground within a radius of 10 miles was shaken by the impact. The vibration was far more than a magnitude 10 earthquake. At this time, under the control of Aofu, the iron element under the soil were controlled and gathered in an instant, condensed into a thin shield. There were countless broken weapons on the bloody road, and the metal element in the soil were countless. The shield blocked the grease that was flying. Bang bang bang. However, this condensed shield exploded directly under the collision of those small pieces of grease. The grease shot through Aofu's layers of shields and defenses like bullets. Aofu groaned, stepped back several steps, and slowly recovered his body. On his chest, there were 3 black spots that penetrated the enchanter's robe. It was too sudden. From Aofu falling from the sky, to attack the boar shaman, to the boar shaman absorbing lightning, to Aofu turning into a giant, and escaping from the control of lightning, to being attacked by grease. It was only a minute. At this time, Lin Ke had just dealt with several enhanced boar shield guards, and was still dealing with the rest, when he saw Aofu. Teacher. Lin Ke was shocked, and subconsciously wanted to use the wand of annihilation. Aofu, nothing can happen. Not only because Aofu is the pillar of the great wilderness city and Azan, but also because Aofu is someone Lin Ke regards as a relative. However, when Lin Ke just raised his hand, the boar shaman looked at Lin Ke from a distance, a faint smile flashed in his scholar eyes, and he uttered 2 words, imprison. Suddenly, waves of pressure came from around Lin Ke, directly crushing the layers of shields he had added to himself, and then imprisoned his arms, unable to move. At the same time, a bloody necklace flew up from the boar shaman's neck, as if it was made of a mixture of various meat tendons, with a small bright red heart on it, still beating vigorously. This is the heart of a human baby. Blood donation curse. The boar shaman laughed, and then the necklace broke into pieces, and the small human baby heart exploded directly. Lin Ke's eyes suddenly widened. Pain. Heart-wrenching pain. It was as if a barbed needle had pierced directly into the heart and then stirred it fiercely. Lin Ke's eyes turned white, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood donation. His followers were shocked, and Nyx ran over in an instant, throwing his hands with 7 or 8 healing skills. Liquor even took out several bottles of magic potion and poured them into Lin Ke. Lin Ke's face looked better, but he still covered his chest tightly. Curse. This is a curse of the gods expelled by the king of gods in ancient times. Liquor frowned, holding Lin Ke and feeding him some kind of magic potion. What should I do then? Nyx also looked serious. I can't feel the poison, nor can I feel the wound. This is the power of the law. Liquor's eyes were filled with anger. Those beings thought that the king of gods could come back after he died. Humph, my father will make sure that they never come back. Over there, Aofu covered his chest that was shot by the strange grease with his left hand, and held the thunderstaff in his right hand, to resist the strange and powerful skills of the wild boar shaman. They were both at level 22, but this wild boar shaman, who had lived for who knows how many years, had much more experience and many methods than Aofu, who had only been promoted for more than 10 years. What's more, Aofu was doing research more often than fighting. Puff. Aofu waved the thunderstaff and couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of black blood. The blood vessels under the skin of his chest bulged, and black could be seen spreading in them. In the blood vessels, the black grease was colliding and offsetting with Aofu's lightning power. But because of this injury, Aofu became more and more passive. However, at this moment, a column of water rushed towards this side at a high speed not far away. The torrent. The torrent breaks through everything. The glory of Azin. Garrus and his 5 knights. Chapter 235, Death of Orth. Garrus and his 5 followers, along with the green water python under their seat, turned into a torrent in the air and rushed towards the Boarman shaman. Azan? The Boarman shaman frowned, and the attack on AOF slowed down. His body turned into grey mist with a bang, and then reappeared on the other side. Seeing this, Garros also changed his direction and rushed towards the Boorman shaman. The smell of disgusting turbulence. No, now it's a torrent. A torrent. The Boorman shaman's eyes were full of disgust and a hint of deep disdain, as if he recalled something. AOF took the opportunity to take out an exquisite gem bottle from the space ring, which was the same as the potion that Lin Ke had given Lin Ke before. This is an extremely precious order potion. This kind of potion requires a legendary potion master to make it. It requires hunting a god, then extracting the god's divinity, soaking the god's divinity with divine blood, and then supplementing it with various other precious magic plants to make it. Each bottle is a sky-high price. After drinking it, you can increase your strength by 1 to 10 levels. The higher the level, the slower the increase, but for higher level professionals, a little improvement will be crucial. Although it is expensive, Lin Ke also gritted his teeth and bought a few bottles as life-saving items, one of which was given to Aofu. At this time, Aofu drank the order potion, and the agitated breath on his body was slightly stabilized. On the other side, the 6 people of Garros were already fighting with the Boorman shaman. The actions of the 6 people of Garros were almost the same. They separated, and the 4 humans rushed back and forth with lances in hand, and then hit the Boorman shaman hard. The ice crystal giant deer and the delta bear man used their skills to restrain the Boorman shaman one after another. From a distance, it looked like a bear and a deer were against the Boorman shaman, and 4 groups of water surrounded the Boorman shaman and collided with him. Although the 6 of them did not charge together, the skills from the night were always used. Only 6 people around level 15 actually temporarily imprisoned a legend. Glory to Azan. Garros shouted, his blood surging, and a strange atmosphere spread out. This is one of Azan's original abilities, blood turbulence. One of the reasons why Garros stood out from the other Azans is that he vaguely returned to his ancestors. He can make his companions stronger. And he only went back a little bit, and he and a few followers could temporarily resist the legend. You can imagine how powerful Azan was in his heyday. The blood that disgusts me. Go to hell. The Boorman shaman was harassed and was furious, and was about to use some skills. At this moment, a cold front quietly appeared at the throat of the Boorman shaman. Deep, dark, and quiet. It flashed and disappeared. SHHH. The Boorman shaman widened his eyes, and just as he was about to raise his hand, his head fell directly. Before he hit the ground, his body suddenly banged, and his head turned into grey mist, and dissipated on the spot. Escaped. This boar shaman actually escaped after his head was cut off. Question mark? Garros and his men stopped, still wrapped in water, standing on the green water python with a serious look. A boar shaman who knew Azan was probably a very ancient existence. These beings are often very difficult to kill and very cunning. After escaping this time, Dahuang City and Azan should pay close attention to them in the future. Garros thought for a moment, then looked down. There, a girl appeared on the spot riding a pink monster, carrying an extremely huge black sickle on her shoulder. Dark girl. Your Majesty, thank you for your help. The water on Garros' body slowly disappeared, and 5 followers rode green water pythons to stand behind him. The dark girl didn't say anything, but just glanced at AOF, who was sitting on the ground, tightened the sickle in her hand, and seemed to want to do something but held back. I'll go kill him. The dark girl looked at AOF deeply, then patted the pink magic beast under her, and the man and the beast immediately disappeared into the darkness. The dark girl went to chase the wild boar shaman. Garros breathed a sigh of relief, and quickly got off the giant python, and then came to AOF and Lin Ke. At this time, AOF and Lin Ke were not in a good state. The wild boar shaman came prepared. If Lin Ke hadn't suddenly received a system task to save other nobles. It is estimated that when those wild boars gathered and were added with various buff spells by the wild boar shaman, they would be in danger this time. Fortunately, the unintentional behavior disrupted the arrangement of the wild boar shaman. The wild boar camp was destroyed by Lin Ke and his men in advance, and many wild boars were killed, resulting in the wild boar shaman only having the wild boar shield guards around him to rely on. At this time, Lin Ke and AOF were lying on 2 pieces of cloth on the ground, and the people's knights were still harvesting those wild boar shield guards. However, Lin Ke's mission success prompt was delayed. After drinking a bottle of order potion, Lin Ke felt a little better, and the twitching of his heart was not so strong. The wild boar shaman actually had curse-like skills, which was hard to defend against. But Lin Ke was also a little confused at this time. The mission has not been successful yet. He should have eliminated the hidden dangers of the bloody road, and the mission of saving other nobles should have been completed. Why hasn't the mission been successful yet? Could it be? Lin Ke suddenly widened his eyes, and the burning, and scalding, piercing and bursting feeling came from his heart again. Be careful. Lin Ke spit out a mouthful of donated blood, which also contained a few fragments of internal organs, and his voice came out because of this. Wild boar shaman. He didn't escape just now. Or rather, he came back again. A surprise attack. Lin Ke has the standard of system tasks to guess, but others don't have a system. At this time, because of the appearance of the dark girl, Garros and his followers have relaxed. Lin Ke's followers have also relaxed. After all, Lin Ke seems to have resisted the curse with the order potion. And Aofu. He also relaxed. Before, the weird grease with electric light from the wild boar shaman shot into his body, and the electric light on the grease has been trying to integrate and pollute his own lightning law. Fortunately, his law ability is not pure lightning, but electromagnetic force, so he can barely resist it. However, after the dark girl appeared and chased her out, Aofu put away the thunder staff, and sat there to fight against the grease electric light with all his strength. Almost 80% of his mind was focused on resisting that weird ability. When Lin Ke spoke, he found something wrong, but it was too late. Aofu just subconsciously added a few layers of thunder pressure shields to Lin Ke, and then an extremely excited voice came to his ears. Life, deprivation. Not dead, not dead, not dead. How could it be so easy? Don't be fooled. Chapter 236. Never destroy, never rest. On the battlefield, Lin Ke and Aofu were not far apart. So after Lin Ke endured the severe pain and warned him, he saw the scene clearly. 7 or 8 grey smoke columns rolled over and broke the layers of protective shields on Aofu's body. Aofu's body flashed with various magical lights, and his body was covered with thunder in an instant. At the same time, he tore open the space and wanted to flash to another place. However, the grey fog followed him like a shadow, and it entangled Aofu in an instant and spread into Aofu's body. A sneak attack. The Boarman shaman killed a sneak attack, not targeting Lin Ke, but Aofu. When Aofu was attacked, the first thing he thought of was to protect his disciple Lin Ke. At this time, those grey tones continued to drill into Aofu's eyes, ears, nose, and paws, and the electromagnetic force in his body could not stop them at all. Ha ha ha, AOF, if you die, Athanan won't be far away. The wild laughter of the Boarman shaman sounded, followed by bursts of puffs. Then came the angry voice of the Boarman shaman. Damn it. Dark girl, I won't forgive you. The voice faded away, and Lin Ke struggled to stand up from the ground, enduring the pain in his heart, and walked towards Aof step by step, carefully. Bang. Aof fell to the ground. So Lin Ke ran over like crazy, came to Aof, and knelt down. Lin Ke took out 7 or 8 things from the space ring in an instant, including a potion with vibrating breath, a mysterious blue tree fruit, and even a dragonfly wing as thin as a cicada's wing. Teacher, this is the most expensive order potion. Drink it quickly. Lin Ke's voice was anxious, and he took out all the extremely precious things from the outside world, wanting to use them on Aof. Aof's breath was extremely weak, and Lin Ke had never seen Aof so weak. Lin Ke, little Lin Ke. Aofu's breath was weak, but his old hand still held Lin Ke's hand that wanted to open the order potion. It's useless. Lin Ke. At this time, Garros and the others also came to the surroundings and formed a circle to guard the outside. The People's Knights also killed the lone wild boars. The sign of mission success appeared in front of Lin Ke, but at this moment, Lin Ke didn't care about the reward at all. Aofu's breath was getting weaker and weaker. Teacher, I will take you to find the Emperor Wumian now. The Emperor Wumian can save you. Lin Ke panicked. He was panicked. The strongest Emperor Wumian will definitely save Aofu. My father, he can't be saved. Lin Ke showed a look of reluctance, but still said, my father is the strongest person, but teacher Aofu's soul is corrupted. Even the master who is proficient in the law of the soul can't do anything. Lin Ke's words may make Lin Ke more desperate, but Lin Ke wants Aofu to use the last bit of time to listen to Aofu's voice instead of rushing on the road. Nix was also trying desperately to treat it, but he had never heard of this kind of soul injury, let alone treatment. Lin Ke, listen to me. Aofu's breath was fading quickly, and black spots were spreading all over his body from the wound on his chest. Teacher. Lin Ke was panicking at this time. In the end, Garros squatted down, squatted beside him, and held his shoulders. Son, listen to Aofu first. Garros was also a little sad at this time. Listen to Aofu carefully. As he said, he took out a photo ball. This is the best way to recall and miss. At this time, Lin Ke regained some reason. Lin Ke, I'm very satisfied. Really, very satisfied. Aofu held Lin Ke's hand, just like a kind grandfather holding his grandson's hand. As he spoke, black dirty blood flowed out in large mouthfuls, staining his beard and robes. Teacher, you will be fine, teacher. Big tears slid down, and Lin Ke only felt a burst of despair and sadness at this time. The feeling of powerlessness and hatred intertwined back and forth, filling his entire heart. Little Lin Ke, I have always believed that you will be a great lord and a powerful professional. At this time, Aofu's expression did not show any pain, and his eyes looking at Lin Ke were full of care, love and concern. He raised his hand and pinched Lin Ke's face, as if Lin Ke was still a child. But, unfortunately, I can't continue to protect you. Aofu smiled helplessly, and black blood suddenly flowed out of his chest in large streams. Obviously, Aofu had given up resisting the erosion of those oils. Live well and become the lord of your dreams, understand? He gathered all his strength and stretched out his bloody palm at the same time, with a little faint electric light condensed on it. Take it, this is my true spirit. Aofu stretched out his trembling hand. The great wilderness tower is about to be built. Let me continue to protect you for a while. After becoming a legend, a little true spirit will condense in the soul. The soul is the carrier of memory and personality, and the true spirit is the trace of this person's existence in the world. As he spoke, Orf looked at the dark night sky and murmured, I have pursued the truth and materialism for my whole life, but the most precious, is the light of thunder, and lightning in his eyes gradually disappeared, and his hands gradually fell down. In an instant, the thunder law and electromagnetic law within a radius of 100 miles were shaking and wailing. A legend has fallen. In the sky, a star with a faint flash of purple lightning turned into a meteor, burning and falling, and finally hit the crystal wall of the plane and merged into it. The legend has fallen. Countless people have felt it. You know, this is the heartland of the kingdom of Gila, adjacent to the abyss and the giant city of Fine Iron, and it is also the bloody road that all races pay attention to. Some nobles also gathered curiously, wanting to know what happened. They saw that on the scorched earth, where the thunder law was trembling, there was a young man of 17 or 18 years old, crying bitterly while holding the body of an old man. Orf. It's Orf. The socially anxious 19th level warrior, the teacher he kept with his little tricks and insignificant sincerity, the teacher who almost massacred the city because he was in danger. The teacher who stayed on the top of Azan Castle all day to endure the wind and sun to protect him. The person who silently supported him behind the scenes when the monsters came. What is the most precious? When you have become accustomed to it, when you have become accustomed to his existence, when you regard him as a part of your life and living. You lost him. At that time, you knew. It turned out that what is precious is not the territory, not the gold coins, not the wars and killings, not the intrigues, but the people who have been silently accompanying you. Lin Ke thought of every bit of Aofu. Teacher Aofu, in fact, is very lonely. After 100 years of loneliness, he made a friend, Garros, and Garros was a person who had no time to care about him. In hundreds of years of life, Aofu's true sincerity and warmth came from Lin Ke. Lin Ke knew that after he knew that Aofu's social anxiety disappeared, he was actually willing to stay with him. But Lin Ke was busy with various things and often ignored Aofu's feelings. But no matter what, Aofu was still willing to work hard and be there whenever he was called. This was his teacher. He was Aofu's only disciple. Wild boar. I will not stop until I destroy your tribe. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237, The Abyss of the Royal Capital. Orf's body eventually turned into a flash of lightning and merged into the Law of Thunder, all in silence. Led by Lin Ke, Garros rode side by side, followed by their followers and the People's Knights. The whole team marched in silence. No one spoke, even the noise was very small. Everyone tried not to make any sound. Only the footsteps in the dark remained. Behind them, there were some minor nobles. The Bloody Road had a legend, and that legend had not been executed after killing Orf, which made them feel very insecure. And Count Lin Ke's team at least had Princess Lin Ke, so they all followed. After a while, the Marquis of Iron Ring came. This was a grey-haired, meticulous, serious old man, sitting on a tall reindeer, followed by a team of 10,000 people rushing over. Count Lin Ke, I just sensed that Lord Orf had met an opponent. The Marquis of Iron Ring saw Lin Ke approaching immediately and asked. But he immediately discovered that the atmosphere in Lin Ke's team was not right. So he put full speed, and Garros also approached at this time. Marquis Tihun, Lord Orf has fallen. Garros's face was full of grief. Orf was one of his few friends. This. Marquis Tihun was stunned for a moment. Then he remembered the meteor phenomenon he had seen before. After a moment of silence, he said, this is a great loss for the kingdom of Gila and a great loss for my human race. Legends. It is impossible to appear in so many people. Each legend is a powerful symbol of the power of the human race, and is the favorite of Nassim. I will escort you together. Marquis Tihun thought about it. There was an accident on the Bloody Road and an unknown legend appeared. He still escorted Lin Ke and the others together. The Bloody Road was originally just a ceremony to let modern nobles feel the hardships of the ancient nobles. But someone saw this point and plotted against Lin Ke. The team marched in silence. During this period, the Dark Girl never appeared again. It seemed that she had been chasing the wild boar shaman. Soon, the team arrived at the capital, the Abyss. An endless darkness was embedded in the flatland. Deep, mysterious and huge. Just like a black hole that appeared on the Nassim continent, the black hole sucked countless substances into it. Sand, trees, and life could not escape the attraction of the black hole. Even light could not escape, and even sight would be absorbed. This is a dark abyss, a bottomless cave, and the biggest trauma of the Nassim continent. People standing in front of this abyss are like ants standing in front of a deep well. You can't see the bottom, you only know that there is endless darkness ahead. However, it's not just darkness here. When dawn came, the deep well in front of you suddenly burst into a burst of light that went straight to the sky, even brighter than the sun. Light and darkness alternated, and the night gradually turned into day. Looking at the miraculous scene in front of him, Lin Ke's heart, which was originally immersed in pain, was touched. This kind of great feat was difficult to produce in the highly developed technological society of the previous life. The abyss in front of him deserves the name of abyss. At the edge of the abyss, there are 3 huge magic towers standing in a triangle, representing that there are currently 3 dominant level powerhouses in the kingdom of Gila. At least, there are 3 on the surface. Emperor Wumian, 5-colored dragon mother and moon goddess. 3 magic towers of different shapes stand at the 3 corners of an equilateral triangle, and at the edge of the abyss, there are hundreds of roads. Lin Ke and others are walking on one of the roads, which is extended from the blood-stained road. Count Lin Ke, Viscount Torrent, I will send you here, and the abyss is ahead. After seeing the abyss, the Iron Ring Marquis also said goodbye to Lin Ke and others. Garros is Viscount Azanan, also known as Viscount Torrent. Lin Ke does not have a similar title yet. After sending off the Iron Ring Marquis, Lin Ke and others walked forward, and behind them, there were other nobles in small groups. This is the abyss. Horrible. What a terrifying place. I feel like my soul is about to be sucked in. How do we get in? The little nobles were also frightened by the grandeur of the abyss. Such a huge abyss, in Lin Ke's previous life, was definitely not man-made, and in the eyes of the people of Nassim, it was definitely not natural. The 10th level, architect, Velen took a few years to build the million-level metropolis Dahuang City. In the past, the formation of metropolis often took many years of evolution. If Velen was promoted to legend, it would probably take a few days to build a big city like Dahuang City. Lin Ke also felt that such a huge and deep abyss must have been created by more than one legend, and even the Overlord would join in. Lin Ke. At this time, in addition to Lin Ke and his party, some nobles also appeared from behind them one after another. All of them were viscounts and earls. There were a total of 10 viscounts and 3 earls, one of whom was the previous earl of Tulip, Tondigier. Tondigier also knew about the changes in the Bloody Road, but now he brought his team to Lin Ke. His face was a little tired, and there was blood on his body. It seemed that he had encountered other alien races, and fought a battle. Count Lin Ke, there are big problems with this noble review. Count Tulip approached Lin Ke, and then said with a heavy face, I express my grief for the death of Lord Daofu. Count Tulip was sincere and heartfelt. Lin Ke raised his slightly pale face, and grinned a smile that didn't look like a smile. Thank you. As for the problems with the noble review, Lin Ke didn't care. Count Lin Ke. Count Tulip frowned and whispered, this time, there will be many foreigners joining the noble review, and even, the entire Nasang's forces will join. Yeah. Lin Ke nodded lightly, without saying much, just walked in silence. Count Tulip frowned. He didn't know the position of Aofu in Lin Ke's heart. In his heart, teachers and so on are all enlightenment teachers, invited in childhood, and the rest of the things are all taught by family members. So he couldn't understand the feelings between Aofu and Lin Ke. In the final analysis, Aofu is not only a master and apprentice, but also a relative, and a confidant of 2 lonely souls. Aofu's past was tragic and lonely, and Lin Ke's origin was lonely and regretful. Given Nasang's actual situation, it is difficult to understand the relationship between Lin Ke and AOF. Of course, although Count Tulip did not understand, he still knew that AOF held a very important position in Lin Ke's heart. So he sighed, and turned to Garros next to him and said, Garros, let me tell you, there are many forces participating this time, and many ancient tribes have joined. After a pause, Tulip continued, for example, I saw a lot of wild boars on the Bloody Road this time. It is said that even the ancient profession, shaman, has appeared. That profession is very vicious, and, as Tulip was talking, Lin Ke turned his head and looked at him. His eyes were frighteningly bright. Tell me what you know. Chapter 238 Conspiracy and Anger. Tulip had guessed it. This time, Lin Ke would challenge the title of Grand Duke. After all, Aofu was a legend, and Lin Ke himself had made newspapers, lottery tickets, as in paper, and other things. When he was a child, he destroyed the entire lava swamp. The Duke could easily reach the Grand Duke. In addition, Tulip was a very emotional person. He loved flowers, plants, and trees by nature, and was very kind by nature. Therefore, he liked some of Lin Ke's ideas very much, and also admired Lin Ke's original words take the lead in the charge. Of course, making friends with Lin Ke would also benefit the Tulip Earl's family. Duke. So far, there are only 8 Grand Dukes and 19 Dukes in the Kingdom of Gila. Duke means that at least the strength of the 20-level star brilliance is required. And the Grand Duke not only needs legendary combat power, but also requires the actual controller of the family to have a significant impact or contribution to the Kingdom of Gila. Such a person, the other members of the Tulip family also agreed that he should make friends. Although Aofu is gone now, Lin Ke will at least be a duke, and if he wants, he can even be a Grand Duke. After all, there are so many Warcraft kings in the family. It is still worth making friends. And even if Lin Ke was only an earl, Earl Tulip would not dislike or hate him. After all, he admired Lin Ke very much. Seeing the person he admired staring at him with a terrifying look, Earl Tulip could only wonder, Earl Lin Ke, what's wrong? My teacher was killed by a wild boar shaman. Lin Ke suppressed his anger and grief, and asked Earl Tulip, please tell me, Lord Tulip, tell me all the contents of this noble review. Lin Ke knew that Earl Tulip and Grand Duke Greenleaf were good friends, and the ancient and powerful Grand Duke Greenleaf knew a lot of inside information. Earl Lin Ke, if the one who killed Lord Orth was a legendary wild boar shaman, I can only think of 3 possibilities. Earl Tulip thought for a while, and then stretched out 3 fingers to Lin Ke. At this time, the team had stopped, and the people of the People's Knights and Earl Tulip were on guard outside to prevent anyone from eavesdropping or breaking in. The first possibility is that you have a grudge against the sun god of the Holy Life Alliance, and he sent the legend of the Wild Boar tribe under his command to assassinate you. Count Tulip looked into Lin Ke's eyes. The Holy Life Alliance has countless backgrounds, and no one knows how many legends the sun god has hidden. This is why my Gila Kingdom is still the second most powerful force in Natham. Although the Gila Kingdom has powerful people such as Emperor Wumian, it is extremely lacking in middle level and lower level strength. For example, the number of legends, the number of 10 to 20 level strongmen, and even the overall number of professionals are not as good as the Holy Life Alliance. We have no intersection with the sun god at all. Garros next to him shook his head. There is no need for him to sacrifice a powerful and ancient wild boar shaman for just Lin Ke and Aofu. Yes, the ability of the wild boar shaman is extremely strange, even if he assassinates some legends of level 24 or 25. If it weren't for Lin Ke's sudden attack, after being prompted by the system, which affected the arrangement of the wild boar shaman, it is estimated that the whole team, including Aofu, would have died in that strange grey fog. But if we investigate, we may still find out. For Lin Ke and Aofu, wasting such a powerful legend? There is no essential conflict of interest between the sun god and Lin Ke, and even Lin Ke rarely pays attention to the affairs of the Holy Life Alliance, so this possibility is basically impossible. I also don't think it's the sun god. The second possibility, is that Excellency. Earl Tulip hesitated again and again, before pointing to the magic tower in the distance. It was a black magic tower several hundred meters high, engraved with golden patterns. The quiet magic tower, the magic tower of the moon goddess. Earl Tulip didn't dare to say the name of the moon goddess, so he hesitated for a while, and gritted his teeth and said, "That Excellency has a grudge against Earl Lin Ke, which is something many people know. The first person everyone thinks of in this matter is him, but they think he would not do such a thing. He is on the 3rd floor." Earl Tulip took a gamble. What he said were all guesses, but because these guesses were all aimed at a master, he was still very scared. But he could gain the friendship of Lin Ke, which was worth it. The moon goddess and the eldest prince? Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. You mean, they have a secondary plane with wild boar people? I don't know about that. Count Tulip paced back and forth at this time, and suddenly knocked his head after a moment. By the way, speaking of planes, the 8th prince once had a secondary plane, and the main race in it was wild boar people. And that plane was finally given to the eldest prince by the 8th prince. This kind of secret is really unknown to ordinary nobles. Count Tulip only knew it because he often chatted with Count Greenleaf, and Lin Ke was extremely angry at this time. The eldest prince. The eldest prince again. Lin Ke forced himself to calm down now. Before the truth came out, if he acted impulsively, it might harm all his remaining relatives and friends. After all, that was the son of Wumian. And if he couldn't take revenge after the truth came out, he would sever all ties with his relatives and friends, and then use the wand of annihilation to make a big fuss. But Count Lin Ke, there is a third possibility that you cannot ignore. Count Tulip was more patient and continued. Among the tribes that separated from the Holy Life Alliance, there was a tribe of wild boars. They built a city in the distant desert to recuperate. Wild boar tribe. Lin Ke knew that the Holy Life Alliance had a big event in the mythological era, and naturally remembered that many races broke away from the Holy Life Alliance and survived alone at that time. But this possibility was basically ruled out by Lin Ke. He had no intersection with the wild boar forces, so there was no reason to kill him. So, Grand Prince? Lin Ke's eyes flashed, and then he closed his eyes. The nails had already embedded in the flesh, but Lin Ke did not feel anything, but was furious. He hated it. He was too weak before and now. 18 years old 10th level, it was already very good. But the eldest prince was a legend. Even among the legends, he was powerful. However, this time it depends on the Gila royal family, the nobles, and how the sleepless emperor will deal with it. The death of a legend, if it is not handled properly. Also, I heard that the Star Prince of the Star and Wave Ocean seems to have wild boars under his command. Well, Count Link, you know. Count Tulip hesitated and told another secret. Link was immediately more confident. The Moon Goddess, once the Moon Princess of the Star and Wave Ocean. Chapter 239 Fans of the Abyss. After Lin Ke finished chatting with Count Tulip, he led the team towards the abyss. Tulip also followed. As they approached the abyss, Lin Ke saw that the abyss was not a simple hole. On the rock wall of the abyss, there were densely packed and row upon row of buildings. These buildings went down along the rock wall, like moss on the wall of a deep well. At the edge, there were several large wooden platforms, guarded by several people, and their breath seemed to be at least level 10. They were sending the previous wave of people into the teleportation array on the wooden platform, and then looked at Lin Ke and others. Respected Count Tulip, Count Lin Ke, Viscount Azan, welcome to the abyss. The leader was a 13th level shield guard with a deep breath. Lin Ke's team had already put up the flag, and it was easy to identify which noble they belonged to. Please enter the teleportation array. I will teleport you to the King's Hotel on the 352nd floor in batches. Someone will then introduce the relevant matters of the noble's deliberation. As he spoke, the shield guard leader stepped aside and said, please do not stay. Enter as soon as possible, and do not disturb other nobles. The shield guard leader was very indifferent, but Lin Ke and his men would not say anything. Instead, they quickly entered in batches. However, when passing by the shield guard leader, Lin Ke heard the shield guard leader's whisper. Count Lin Ke, I'm your admirer. Be careful of the morning light. Lin Ke looked up and saw that the shield guard leader next to him had no movement on his lips and his face was as indifferent as before, but his eyes flickered slightly. Some kind of sound transmission technique? Lin Ke did not say anything, nor did he make any extra movements. He seemed to just glance at the shield guard leader casually, and then entered the teleportation array. This is a medium-sized teleportation array that can accommodate 800 or 900 humans at a time, but if the green water python and the lava lion are added, there will be no room. After 3 batches, Azan's team finally entered. Then it was the turn of other nobles. The prosperity of the abyss. This was Lin Ke's first feeling. He stood on the extremely wide street and could see the street opposite. He also had a different world inside. This street was embedded in the rock wall of the abyss. Layer by layer, circle by circle. This is an underground city. The abyss is an underground city. Although he had heard of it before, Lin Ke was still a little frightened when he saw such a great feat. However, the next moment, after Lin Ke had organized the team and walked out of the teleportation street for a few minutes, a group of people appeared. Dear Earl Link, I'm a level 5 butler of the Steward's Corps under the Grand Duke of the Mountains. My wife hopes to have brunch with you to discuss the latest limited edition perfume. Dear Earl Link, I'm here to bring a message to my lady. She likes your book Snow White and Alibaba's 40 Dwarfs very much and hopes. Dear sir, my master, artist, Green Woman is fascinated by your newly created comics and sincerely invites you. Dear Earl Link. Mr. Link. Carriages, ox carts, mounts, reindeer carts, etc. stopped at the intersection. Butlers in suits and leather shoes politely saluted in the direction of Lin Ke. They are the butlers and servants of various nobles, noble ladies, various forces and various powerful people. They are all here to invite Lin Ke. There are many reasons, of course. Most of them are related to the creations of Dahuang City and Lin Ke's works. In other words, they are all fans of Lin Ke. Lin Ke has made countless things over the years, whether it is various industrial products or some artistic creations, which have injected strong spiritual comfort into these idle people. So, fans came into being. If it was before, Lin Ke must have visited each one of them. Maybe he could meet some friends and do something. However, Lin Ke is not in the mood now. So he stepped forward, hammered his chest, and said loudly, I'm sorry, everyone. I just lost Teacher Orth, an important guide in my life, and I won't communicate with you for the time being. After that, Lin Ke walked towards the large building King's Hotel not far away under the cover of the People's Knights. Ah, Lord Orth has fallen? I heard that Earl Lin Ke is the only disciple of Lord Orth, and they have a very close relationship. What a pity. Those who came on behalf of various nobles could only go back to report. The nobles who came out after Lin Ke and his group were amazed at this scene. Some even asked, who was that person just now? Who is Count Lin Ke? Someone nearby immediately looked at him with contempt. You don't even know Count Lin Ke. You haven't even read the newspaper, have you? If you haven't read it, what is that? Well, you've been to the wonderful land, right? Even if you can't read, it's pretty good to watch a drama. I haven't been there either. Oh my god, you didn't come from some secondary plane, did you? Well, I'm representing Lord Baron Balder to participate in the Nobles Review. There was a lot of noise outside. Lin Ke came to the King's Hotel, which covers a large area, checked in an orderly manner, and then came to his room, and took out a bottle of order potion. The bottle of order potion is made of very precious materials, and it can even preserve divine substances. What is contained in it is a bit of Orth's true spirit. Holding the bottle, Lin Ke exhaled deeply, and then took the bottle back. Then, the bracelet on his wrist suddenly came close to his skin, and then the whole person turned into a melancholy and handsome blonde man in a wave. Then he took out a recently made item from his space ring. Guitar. The first guitar in this world. A 5th level magic item with excellent magic quality, similar to Sophie's Destiny territory. Holding the guitar, Lin Ke took out a hooded cloak, covered himself with it, and then walked straight out of the room and walked downstairs. Thanks to the fact that there are no surveillance cameras here, and there is no ID card registration or anything like that, he only needs to walk down from upstairs like this, and the King's Hotel will not care. After all, there are too many people coming and going every day. As long as there is no key engraved with secret characters, you can't enter the room. And as an industry of the Giller royal family, few people dare to act wildly. Lin Ke left the King's Hotel smoothly, holding a guitar, walking on the road with a sad expression, like a down and out bard. There were many people on the street, and many people were discussing the people who had just invited Lin Ke to visit. Is that Count Lin Ke? He is as handsome and charming as the legend says, rich and smart. Come on, you can't compete with those ferocious noble ladies. I appreciate the music composed by Count Lin Ke more. The song The Lone Brave Man is so beautiful and inspiring. Have you heard? Have you heard? Count Lin Ke is here to participate in the Noble Review. Extra edition. The new issue of the newspaper will be published soon. Does anyone want it? The latest formula of skincare water. Dahong brand. There was a lot of noise on the street. A melancholy and down and out poet walked by. In the work related, I posted about the settings of professions and bloodlines, and the past of the human race and the Giller Kingdom. Interested book friends can go and have a look. Chapter 240, Flame Tavern Greenleaf Juice Bar. Lin Ke walked through the streets and unknowingly came to the place closest to the edge. There are also many buildings here, but it looks like a mixture of residential and commercial areas. In fact, many cities are like this, and every street is a mess, with shops and residences mixed together. But now the Abyss looks clean. It seems that the Abyss has also changed, and learned some methods from the Great Desert City. At the edge, it is like a cliff, and the other side is a rock wall of the Abyss on the other side dozens of kilometers away. However, there are inscriptions engraved on the streets at the cliff. Lin Ke saw many people walking directly from there. Their figures did not fall down, but seemed to appear on the other side. Lin Ke also learned their methods, and walked directly over. Sure enough, his body was directly teleported to the street on the other side. Big project. Big hand. The Abyss has more than 800 layers, and each layer is like a city. Each city has countless streets, and each street connected to the opposite side has a teleportation array. Countless people use it every day. But Lin Ke also discovered that using that secret text uses his own magic power. If he didn't inject magic power, there would be a protective shield blocking him from going out. It was probably aimed at ordinary people, fearing that ordinary people would fall down. After coming here, Lin Ke first came to the roadside and looked at the environment. This place is similar to the one behind him. The upper and lower floors are dozens of meters high. The tall and short buildings of different colors are distributed in an orderly manner beside the street, and people come and go. He needs to find a place where he can get information this time. There are two such places. One is the tavern that low-level professionals and ordinary people like to go to. There are a lot of gossips in this place, but many times the authenticity is difficult to determine. There are more bragging and exaggeration to attract people's attention. The other place is the juice bar. In Nassing, alcohol is not good for the body, tastes bad, and can make people dizzy and lose their sanity. Nobles and many professionals don't like it. They prefer sweet and delicious juice and milk drinks. So the juice bar has become an expensive and quiet place. People in this place communicate in a low voice, but some information can be heard. And there will be Lin Ke's people in both places. Scarlet Wilderness. This organization, which Lin Ke ordered Lady Black Mountain to create, has now become a behemoth that exceeds the mercenary organization. More reasonable staffing, more tasks, more humane management, higher rewards. This is the reason why Scarlet Wilderness has risen. Of course, it has always been an underground organization, and like the mercenary guild, it rarely absorbs real strong people. But it is enough. Some servants and maids of nobles will become Lin Ke's eyes and ears. And now, Lin Ke is going to ask the heads of two places. In the abyss, Scarlet Wilderness has heads into chain taverns and juice bars. One is the Flame Tavern and the other is the Greenleaf Juice Bar. Lin Ke is looking for these two places now. Walking on the street, Lin Ke is also listening to the conversations of people around him. The people here have different clothes and many races, even some races that look like Warcraft, such as the conifers of the Everfrizz Council, the mermaids of the Ocean of Stars and Waves, and the Delta Bears of the Holy Life Alliance. But by coincidence, these intelligent lives have traces of the wilderness. For example, there was a Highland dwarf wearing a black suit, tie and tall hat, bargaining with a werewolf lady sprayed with lucky flower perfume. The werewolf lady was selling a second-hand monthly comic magazine produced by Da Huang. People walking on the street were also talking about many newspapers, songs, plots, etc. Even some homeless people, street performers, and small vendors were talking. Unknowingly, Da Huang's influence has become very large. Lin Ke saw a frost wolf who spoke human language selling Da Huang brand frost wolf snacks, which were the favorite of the frost wolf clan. He looked quite amiable. Frost wolves are one of the main races of the Everfrizz Council. After education, their offspring can also speak the common language of Nassing, and their intelligence is not low. Although they look like beasts, they can also be regarded as a race of intelligent life. Others have floating breaths, and it seems that it is unknown whether they are locals. So this kind of small vendor selling things is the most suitable for asking. So he stepped forward and asked, "Excuse me, do you know where the Flame Tavern and the Greenleaf Juice Bar are?" The nearly 2-meter tall frost wolf with pure white fur glanced at Lin Ke, then looked at the frost wolf snacks in his back pocket, and said, "Buy a box of snacks and I'll tell you." Lin Ke didn't hesitate to give him a silver coin, threw it into another pocket, and then picked up a box of snacks. The frost wolf nodded with satisfaction, stretched out his front paw, and pointed to the end of the street. "Go to the end and turn right to find the Flame Tavern." "Oh, that's a really dirty place." As for the Greenleaf Juice Bar, you will always see 3 or 5 if you walk around the edge. Hey, the juice is really delicious. After saying that, the frost wolf walked away shaking his head and continued to sell those snacks. Lin Ke started walking along the edge of the street, and sure enough, he saw the Greenleaf Juice Bar in a short while. The sign of the Greenleaf Juice Bar was painted with several delicate green leaves. You couldn't see inside from the outside. It should have a magic circle, and there were 2 maids waiting at the door. "Dear sir, no bards can enter the Greenleaf Juice Bar for the time being." One of the maids saw Lin Ke, who was holding a guitar and dressed like a bard, and hurried over to stop him. "I'm here to spend money." Lin Ke's voice became low and magnetic under the change of the palace guard bracelet. His voice is so nice. The maid secretly glanced at Lin Ke, blushed and made way, saying, "Dear sir, welcome to the Greenleaf Juice Bar. We have prepared delicious juice and free books and newspapers, set up a special novel area, and recently set up a comics area. The latest books and newspapers produced by Da Huang are all here. Which area do you want to go to?" The maid asked with a smile. Lin Ke thought for a moment and said, "I'll go and see them all. You take me around, and I'll make a choice." As he said that, Lin Ke threw out a gold coin. "The extra part will be considered as your tip. Tell me if it's not enough." According to his understanding, spending a gold coin here is only considered medium consumption. You must know that many ordinary people can't earn a gold coin in a year. Only very wealthy nobles would spend a lot of gold coins, but there are many nobles with high titles, but few wealthy nobles. "By the way, do you have the Scarlet Wilderness here?" Lin Ke asked softly as he walked with the maid. The maid raised her eyebrows and replied, "Yes. Not only yes, but for every task they introduce, these maids will get a commission. Sir, are you here to issue a task? Or become a member of the Scholard Wilderness? Or are you here to hand in a task? Me. I'm here to issue a task, I guess. Chapter 241 Requests from Honored Members. Issuing a task? The maid looked at Lin Ke deeply and seemed to warn him, because of his unfamiliar face, if you issue a task, you need to take a 5% commission from the task reward, which will be directly delivered to Scarlet Wilderness. At that time, Scarlet Wilderness will give it to the person who accepts the task. If no one accepts the task within a month, it will be returned, and a contract must be signed. Commission, financial guarantee, return, contract. This is a way to ensure the interests of the three stacker holders, the task issuer, the task receiver, and Scarlet Wilderness. You are quite knowledgeable. Lin Ke's expression did not change. Take me there. After issuing the task, I need to drink some juice. As you wish. The maid immediately took Lin Ke to the restaurant. Her steps were fast and light. Lin Ke then discovered that this maid was actually a first level maid. Greenleaf Juice Bar is famous in the Abyss for its good service, good food, and good decoration. Now it seems to be really good. But Lin Ke is not here to enjoy himself. He listens with his ears erect and listens to various information. Of course, no one was talking in the quiet beverage area, but in the novel area and the newly opened comic area, people were discussing the plot while drinking juice and reading novels and comics. However, the sound insulation was very good, and unless Lin Ke went in, he could not hear the people talking inside. It was morning tea time, and some noble ladies were quietly reading newspapers and sipping juice in the hall. Lin Ke's voice and presence, when he walked, seemed to be absorbed by the maid in front of him. No one looked up to see him, probably because of the skill. After walking through several areas, he finally came to a place similar to a bar. A middle-aged man in a tuxedo was standing at the bar and counting the accounts politely. Manager, this gentleman wants to issue a task. The maid pointed at Lin Ke, who was dressed like a poet. The man raised his head and glanced at Lin Ke and put down the account book in his hand very skillfully and motioned to Lin Ke, follow me. He opened a door next to him, and there seemed to be a small space behind the door. Lin Ke knew that Mrs. Black Mountain had distributed small spaces to many major Scarlet Wilderness contact points before, so he was not surprised. He followed closely with his guitar in his arms and entered the small space while the maid went out. As soon as he entered the small space, Lin Ke was drowned by the noise. Thugs. A small group of human thugs appeared in the north and attacked the village. We need a medium-sized team. We accept temporary teams, and the professional level must be no less than level 4. The reward is generous. Help the beautiful Miss Buckley deliver a letter to the second son of Viscount Sparks. She is willing to pay a level 2 magic sapphire. Buy information. Buy information. If you have any information about the Kobold tribe in the west, come to the announcement office to receive the task. The 11th level, Hound Warlock, Miss Kodo needs a large number of kobolds. This is a tiny space as big as a football field. Not far away, there is a huge projection made of a photo stone, which is densely recorded with a lot of information. These are all tasks. In the past month, all the tasks in the entire Gila Kingdom are on it, and the brief introduction of the tasks, rewards, etc. are recorded, while the people who issue and accept the tasks are hidden. Once a task is accepted, someone will come to delete the information. Some people have urgent tasks, so they will shout in the hall to attract people's attention. However, Lin Ke is not really here to issue tasks. He waved to the store manager just now. Thank you, I can do it myself next. Then he walked to the big screen with ease. The store manager saw that Lin Ke was so familiar with him, and he returned thoughtfully. He saw that Lin Ke did not look like he was here for the first time, and guessed that maybe he had completed the task. He returned the same way, and Lin Ke had already arrived under the big screen. There is also a bar here, but there are a total of more than a dozen people at the bar, writing and drawing, recording a lot of things. In front of them are people who are going to hand in tasks or receive tasks, queuing up. Hurry up. Time is skill. Time is level. Yeah, why is it so slow? Oh, damn. If it weren't for the fact that we can't fight here, I would have beaten that skinny guy to death. The task I want to take has been taken by someone else. The current task panel cannot be updated in real time. So many tasks are directional. For example, there is an autumn harvest mission in the Azan territory. If you go there within a month, you can start the mission directly. Most of the missions that can be accepted here are local to the Abyss. However, many people don't know that the most important and central mission of the Scholared Wilderness is to collect information. Lin Ke spends millions of dollars on the Scholared Wilderness every year to train the current clerks at the front desk and collect information from the entire continent. So Lin Ke came to the bar and looked at the busy young man in front of him. "Sorry, please queue up." The young man was busy and sweating. He was a first level clerk who was registering the mission information of the Minotaur in front of him. "Go to the back and queue up, or I will tear you apart." The Minotaur also roared angrily, staring at Lin Ke with his big copper bell eyes. "Sorry." Lin Ke pounded his chest apologetically and then took out a square card from the space ring, just like the bank card in Lin Ke's previous life. He shook the card at the young man in front of him and said, "Ask your supervisor to see me." The young man was a little resentful at first. After all, he was busy enough, and there were people who knew nothing and cut in line. "You know, Master Lin Ke said that even if he went to do things, he had to queue up, and even if the Emperor Wumian came, he had to queue up, and no one could be exempted." However, when the young man saw the flash of the card in Lin Ke's hand and the magic power that was aroused in his body, he suddenly remembered a certain business. He immediately knew that the poet in front of him was not here to cut in line, but a superior. "No matter who you call, don't cut in line." The Minotaur still roared in a muffled voice. "Yes, yes. Don't cut in line. Blast your dog eyes." "Did our Minotaur provoke you?" The other people in the queue behind the Minotaur also shouted angrily. "Cutting in line is really annoying. Sir, I'll call the supervisor right away." The young man nodded to Lin Ke first, then looked at the Minotaur. "Sorry, this gentleman is our distinguished member and has certain priority." "Distinguished member? What is that?" "Bullshit member. No queue jumping. Get lost." A group of people roared and yelled, and some nobles mixed in with them. Their faces were not good. Until the young man stood up and said with a loudspeaker, "Distinguished members of Scholared Wilderness can be issued as long as they spend 100 million gold coins in Scholared Wilderness. Everyone is welcome to apply for a membership card." Suddenly, there was complete silence. Chapter 242 Hand of Dawn. 100 million gold coins, just to avoid queuing. A group of small nobles, professionals and ordinary people were shocked by the young man's words. Then they looked at Lin Ke with a strange look in their eyes. No matter how tall or heavy Lin Ke was, or what he looked like, in their eyes, Lin Ke was made up of 100 million gold coins. It was indeed not right no matter how you looked at it. The mission hall was quiet for the first time. Lin Ke did not show any abnormality, but still waited for the supervisor with a sad look. "Where does this person come from? I haven't seen him on the 300th floor. I'm often active on the 100, 150th floors, and I haven't seen him either. I'm from the 860th floor. I don't know him." "The 860th floor. Hiss. So scary." The voices of these people gradually became louder, from whispering to talking loudly, and Lin Ke seemed to be ignored at this time. But Lin Ke knew that almost everyone's attention was focused on him now. But it didn't matter, he was just a bard now. "Kid, who are you?" The Tauran had just been processing information. After finishing it, he came over and scratched his head and asked Lin Ke, "I thought you were going to cut in line just now." "Me. I'm Bard Buck." Lin Ke didn't have much time to chat at this time, so he just answered perfunctorily, "Buck." The Tauran nodded blankly and said honestly, "I'm Baruto, from the Holy Life Alliance." "Kid, do you want to form an alliance at the Noble Council?" "Holy Life Alliance? Noble Council? Alliance?" Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. Although the Holy Life Alliance has no interest relationship with him, Lin Ke will not simply rule out this possibility. It is also possible that the Wild Boar Shaman comes from the Holy Life Alliance. After all, weakening the emerging legends and rising star viscounts of the Gila Kingdom is good for the Holy Life Alliance. If it is related to this Noble Council, many people know that Count Lin Ke will participate in the Noble Council, and Count Lin Ke's participation is equivalent to Aofu's participation. It has been many years since a legend participated in the Noble Council. After all, Aofu is the second newly promoted legend in the past 100 years, at least on the surface. Therefore, in order to prevent Lin Ke and Aofu from affecting the plans of some people, perhaps the strange great shaman was used to assassinate them. Where do you live? Lin Ke asked in a very sad voice, just like the literary youth in his previous life. Or let's do this. You come here to find me. This Minotaur looks relatively honest, and the Minotaur clan is now a superior life race of the Holy Life Alliance, which is quite rare. Maybe he knows something. Holy life, superior life, ordinary life, inferior life and slave life. For details, please see the work related about the human race and the kingdom of Gila. As a superior life, the Minotaur can access a wide range and density of information, which is worth inquiring about. Lin Ke casually took out a piece of paper from the space ring and wrote his address, and then handed it to the nearly 3-meter long majestic Minotaur. Tomorrow, at 8 o'clock in the evening. This move naturally stunned the people around him again. Space ring, top grade Azanan paper, Dahong brand Phoenix feather pen. Rich, definitely rich. Now, the people around finally had a new understanding of the strength of this Bard buck. He wrote about the Flame Tavern, and he would come out tomorrow night. Okay. The Minotaur took the paper with his big hairy hands like a palm leaf fan, took a look at it, and then swallowed it directly. He is not stupid, on the contrary, he is very smart. Otherwise he would not have taken the lead in talking to Lin Ke when everyone was still watching. Lin Ke was stunned for a second. So were the others. When the others wanted to talk to Lin Ke, they saw a young woman in uniform trotting over. Dear member. Sorry, I'm late. This is the supervisor. A level 5 clerk. Lin Ke nodded slightly and ignored those who were about to talk to him. Most of these people were servants, guards, and a few lone rangers with limited information. But most of them are intelligent life born and raised in the abyss. After all, the abyss is dominated by humans, not just humans. Following the supervisor in front of him, he came to a door. This small space is connected to many doors. It is probably the Scholar Wilderness stronghold of dozens of layers of the abyss. Please come in, dear member. The supervisor smiled and showed a good level of interpersonal communication. It seems that the management method that Lin Ke taught to Mrs. Black Mountain is indeed useful. Lin Ke followed the supervisor into the office, which looked very similar to the one in Lin Ke's previous life. Dear member, what do you need this time in the Scholar Wilderness? The supervisor motioned Lin Ke to sit down, and then went to the side and poured a cup of milk tea with tea and Gila milk in a glass cup produced by the wilderness, saying, this is the milk tea that is popular in the wilderness recently. It uses tea leaves and Gila milk cultivated by Earl Lin Ke himself. Please try it. Lin Ke took it, and didn't say anything. He took a sip indifferently, then flipped his hand from the space ring to take out the VIP card just now, and handed it to the supervisor. Take a look. The supervisor took it with a smile, looked at the pattern on it, and then sensed it with the power of a professional. Pop. As a professional, the supervisor slipped and dropped the card on the ground. This is. The supervisor picked it up quickly, his voice trembling, and looked at Lin Ke in disbelief. I'm here on behalf of Earl Lin Ke. Seeing this card is like seeing Earl Lin Ke. Lin Ke did not blush or feel nervous, and represented himself. Yes. The supervisor nodded immediately, and pounded his chest. I heard that Master Lin Ke and his men have come to the abyss, but Lord AOF has fallen. When AOF was mentioned, Lin Ke's eyes showed a trace of pain, and he waved his hand. This time, Earl Lin Ke's order is to collect all the information about the Nasan Wild Boar clan. At the same time, you contact the newspaper reporter, and collect relevant information. Wild Boar clan. The supervisor was stunned, and then replied, Scarlet Wilderness, Central Abyss, Branch Manager, follow the order. What happened to the Wild Boar clan? Lin Ke noticed the supervisor's strange look. The supervisor hesitated for a moment before saying, information about the Boarman. A noble had come to buy relevant information before. Noble? Which noble? What information did he inquire about? Lin Ke was immediately alert. When was it? Just a little month ago, His Royal Highness the 5th Prince came to ask me about His Royal Highness the 1st Prince's Boarman plane, but we don't have much information about the royal family. The supervisor explained. The 5th Prince? Lin Ke frowned. The 5th prince and the 8th prince were both born to the gardener's wife, and the 8th prince had given the Borman plane to the 1st prince before. So why did the 5th prince ask about the Borman? Lin Ke thought of what the captain of the guard at the edge of the abyss had said to him when he first came in. Be careful, the light in the morning. Oh, right. The 5th prince's profession seems to be Hand of Dawn. Chapter 243 News about the Wild Boar Man. The 5th prince is a Hand of Dawn, which seems to be related to what the guard captain had hinted before. The eldest prince, the 5th prince, the 8th prince, the moon goddess, the gardener's wife, the wild boar. Lin Ke couldn't help but fall into deep thought. The clues were mixed, and the truth was confusing. Who was the mastermind behind the scenes? Lin Ke's enemies were in the light and in the dark. Now he not only had to avenge Orth, but also had to protect Furlong and Garrows. Go collect all the information related to the wild boar, and bring it to me at the nearby Flame Tavern at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Lin Ke instructed the supervisor in front of him, drinking milk tea slowly, thinking about these clues in his heart. The female supervisor saw Lin Ke was lost in thought, and she walked quietly to the desk next to her, and took out a huge book. Level 3 magic item, information record book file query. The female supervisor whispered softly. Hoo la la. The book in front of him turned automatically without wind, and the black characters on it floated up one by one, and her pupils emitted a faint light. Clerk skill, file search. She was searching for information about wild boars. After a few minutes, she paused thoughtfully, and her eyes met Lin Ke's. Mr. Buck, I found these pieces of information. The female supervisor casually picked up a piece of paper and pen, wrote a few lines on it, and then handed it to Lin Ke on the sofa. When Lin Ke touched the paper, several scenes gradually emerged in his mind. The first scene was a human man rushing in, saying that his village was harassed by a group of unknown wild boars, and asking for help. However, because the bid was too low and there seemed to be wild boars above level 5, no one was willing to take the task, and finally had to retreat sadly. But later, some people from some villages also came to ask for help, which attracted the attention of some people, but in the end it seemed that the group of wild boars was dealt with by someone, and it was left unresolved. The second scene was that a noble servant wanted to try the taste of female wild boars, so he came to issue a call for recruitment, and if he caught a satisfactory wild boar, he would be directly rewarded with 100,000 gold coins. As soon as the mission was released, it caused a great uproar. Several scholared wilderness strongholds in the abyss were boiling with excitement, and even many wild boars went to recommend themselves. But in the end, no one got the reward of 100,000 gold coins, and it was withdrawn after a month. The third scene was very vague. It was a mission sent by a deep sea crab tribe. She was a resident of the abyss. It was said that a female wild boar had stolen her jewelry, and a bounty order was issued. The fourth one. I watched it for more than half an hour and finally finished it. There are dozens of scenes behind, but they are all listed after these three by the supervisor. Lin Ke also found the connection between them. The first scene is a group of wild boars, the second scene is the noble humans in the abyss, and the third scene is the race of the Star and Wave Ocean. 3 unrelated tasks, but they all happened one after another. The most important thing is that these 3 tasks seem to have the same purpose in essence. Find a female wild boar. The group of wild boars of unknown forces in the first scene seemed to be looking for someone, so they kept wandering around. The nobles in the second scene also seemed to be looking for female wild boars. The deep sea crab tribe in the third scene even directly issued a bounty order. Give me the location of those villages, the information of the nobles, and the information of the deep sea crab tribe. After Lin Ke read the few lines written by the supervisor, he had some guesses in his mind, but he was not sure whether it was related to the forces hostile to him. Get ready, Mr. Buck. The female supervisor had already prepared when she materialized these scenes that took place in the scholared wilderness space, but this time she was speaking. Those villages are located in the first 100 layers of the abyss. The ruling power and public security of the 100 layers are not as good as those of the lower abyss. Of course, they are not comparable to the Great Wasteland City. The nobleman who is interested in the female wild boar is a personal noble without territory, a level 5 professional, a baron, and has 11 tailor shops under his command, all in the first 100 layers. As for the deep sea crab, she lives on the 202nd layer, which is made of seawater. I don't know how many sea creatures there are, but that person obviously does not have the abyss breath. Rather than being a bottomless hole that reaches the core of the planet, the abyss is more like countless spaces attached to the hole. Some of these spaces are full of oceans, some are cities, and some are grasslands, mountains, etc. Many races are proud to live in the abyss. However, the abyss does not have a household registration system or public security management. Each layer has various teleportation arrays connecting various regions and towns in the Gila Kingdom, and the traffic is huge. But people who have lived in the abyss for a long time, or who are born and raised in the abyss, will have a unique temperament. Just like the major cities in the previous life will have their own unique culture. The feeling nurtured by the abyss is like a generous, elegant, and unconventional nobleman. This top-down influence is probably started by Emperor Wumian. In that scene, the deep sea crab tribe seemed timid, and there was a mixture of tyranny and viciousness in their eyes from time to time. This deep sea crab tribe may come from the ocean of stars and waves. Now Lin Ke vaguely feels that these three groups of people are looking for a female wild boar, but it is not known whether they have found it yet. Perhaps this is a game between three major forces, and the female wild boar is very important. But what does this have to do with Lin Ke? What he wants to find now is the legendary wild boar shaman and the power behind it. No matter who is behind it, Lin Ke will kill them directly, as long as he can do it. Kill them all. And Lin Ke will not let go of any of the tribes where the legendary wild boar shaman is. Pay attention to this matter, and notify other strongholds to pay attention. The enemy is in the dark. If we don't find it quickly, the Great Wasteland will be in danger. Lin Ke put down the cup of milk tea in his hand, and then warned the female supervisor, saying, "Remember to pass the message to Ms. Black Mountain. Mr. Lin Ke is not convenient to come out now. He can only rely on the Scarlet Great Wasteland and the Great Wasteland City." Understood. The female supervisor also looked serious. "I'll do it now." "Well, do you have any other exits here?" "Yes." "Okay." Lin Ke's Buck came out of one of the portals and came to the green leaf juice bar again. This time, the attitude of the maid was much better, and so was the store manager. It is estimated that she knew that Buck, who was transformed by Lin Ke, was a rich man. Rich people, everyone likes them. Serving them well, maybe their desire to consume will increase greatly. "Mr. Buck, please follow me. What would you like to drink today? By the way, our store has learned about the Great Wasteland City, and now we have launched a membership package. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, The Well-Informed Flame Tavern. Member? I don't think I need it for now. Lin Ke shook his head, and the maid had to give up. He was taken to the novel area, and then he found a book and started reading. Although he seemed to be reading, his attention was actually focused on the people around him. Have you read Lin Ke's latest book? That book, Battle Through the Plains, is really wonderful. Yes. But the previous Pansnake Ring is the most classic, and it has been adapted into a film-keeping drama. Hey, sister, is this smell on you the limited edition bright tulip perfume of Da Huang? I smell it too. Ah, the smell of light. Some noble ladies and noble boys are excitedly discussing everything about Da Huang. Everything Lin Ke has done in the past 10 years has laid the foundation for the prosperity of Da Huang. The spread of paper allows culture to spread. The spread of entertainment allows the spiritual core to penetrate. The spread of literature and art has allowed Da Huang to occupy the spiritual heights of Nassim. Coupled with the development of science and technology, that is, the development of science and technology plus professional characteristics, Da Huang has become a place that everyone yearns for. Few people value science and technology, but professions are different. Lin Ke created so many industries and sectors, and these industries have derived many professions. Demand can create supply and promote technological innovation. What Lin Ke does is to guide citizens to create demand and provide an environment for creating demand. So now Lin Ke hears almost everything about the Great Wilderness. After listening for a whole day, Lin Ke gained almost nothing. Many people don't even know the news of Aofu's murder, let alone discuss it. So Lin Ke, who paid the money, left in the evening and went to the second destination, the Flame Tavern. This is the industry of the Duke of Fireball. The contemporary Duke of Fireball is a star-level powerhouse, and the Flame Tavern is also full of the abyss. In fact, each Grand Duke, etc. basically has their own industry in the abyss, and many nobles are the same, but the difference is the size of the industry. Lin Ke walked out of the green leaf juice bar in the eyes of several maids who were eager for him to apply for a card, and went to the Flame Tavern, after identifying the direction. Boom boom. Walking on the road, suddenly, a figure flashed past in the direction of the abyss, flying towards the upper layer of the abyss, accompanied by thunder. 8 o'clock to 10:30, thunderstorm. The voice of the figure came, majestic and indifferent, and the voice spread throughout the abyss. 4 seasons God. 4 seasons God. It's raining, go home quickly. There has been little rain recently, and my skin is dry. Pedestrians walked and ran. Lin Ke took out his pocket watch and looked at it. There were still 5 or 6 minutes. So he also accelerated to the Flame Tavern. The 4 Seasons God is a low-level god kept in captivity by the legendary astrologer. He is responsible for the 4 seasons of the entire Gila kingdom and the weather changes in the abyss. The 4 Seasons God is a typical god influenced by faith among the gods Lin Ke knows. Now he has completely lost his original personality and has become a complete 4 Seasons god. For example, the dark girl Bindana is Bindana, but the 4 Seasons God is just the 4 Seasons God. So she was captured by the powerful astrologer and then kept in captivity as a tool. The legendary astrologer was from the Gila royal family, and it is said that she had taken liquor with her when she was a child. The former goddess of luck was killed by the legendary astrologer. In this case, the astrologer might be able to predict the enemy. Lin Ke was jogging while thinking. Soon he arrived at the door of the Flame Tavern. Compared with the elegance and tranquility of the green leaf juice bar, the entrance of the Flame Tavern was noisy. In the abyss, the closer to the inner circle, the better, and the outer circle, the worse. The green leaf juice bar is at the edge of the abyss, while the Flame Tavern is closest to the rock wall. Ha ha ha, drink 2 barrels? Charming beauty? Oh, she's from the cat tribe. Great. I have money. Keep going. Lin Ke walked into the Flame Tavern, and a strong smell of sweat, alcohol, and fishy bitterness came, but Lin Ke's face was normal. What a handsome guy. Come on, come play. I only want 3 coppers from you. Brother, play with me. I'll give you 5 coppers. Ha ha ha, you two can just get together. He is now handsome as buck, and the people in the Flame Tavern want to make a move on him, but he can push them away with just a slight shake of the guitar in his hand. Professional. The big men and charming beauty around him stopped teasing. Professionals are respected everywhere. This is even more so in the Flame Tavern, an entertainment place for the lower class. Boss, a drink. Lin Ke came to the bar, and the owner of the bar was a fat rabbit with grey hair, who was pouring malt liquor. Okay, 1 copper coin. The fat rabbit man replied, and poured 2 cups for the previous guests, and handed over the 3rd cup of malt liquor. Please enjoy it, guest. Lin Ke immediately asked, why are there no wild boars here? Wild boars? Oh, guest, what are you talking about? A few days ago, I saw a wild boar soldier coming to drink. The fat rabbit boss laughed. Our Flame Tavern belongs to Master Flameball, and any race can come. Oh, ugly guys like wild boars also come. Lin Ke pretended to be disgusted and spat. Seeing this, the fat rabbit boss immediately knew that the poet in front of him probably had an intersection with wild boars and was a wild boar discrimination. He didn't say much. After all, it was impossible for him to say that a certain race was not welcome. Haha boy, what you said is to my taste. Recently, I think those guys are very annoying. They are black, ugly, fat, and as ugly as the domestic pigs on the farm. A big man next to him smiled and responded to Lin Ke. The fiery tavern was noisy, and the people there were just like that. When they heard a topic of interest, they would chime in and chat for a few words. If they were happy, they might even buy a glass of wine or 2. You've seen a lot of wild boars recently. Could it be here? Then I won't come here anymore. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows, then took a sip of malt liquor, and forced himself to swallow it. The malt liquor here was too unpalatable, comparable to horse urine. Nassen's craft brewing skills were really not good. No wonder the nobles loved to drink freshly squeezed juice. It wasn't in the tavern. I saw it when I was out running goods. Wow, those were groups of wild boars, coming from the west. They were probably participating in the nobles' deliberation. The big man just said, then shook his head at Lin Ke. Boy, buy me a glass of wine, and I'll tell you what I saw. What did he see? When it comes to wild boars, I know the most. A woman holding a girl laughed next to him. I have received wild boars before, and they gave a lot. It is said that they are wild boar nobles of the Holy Life Alliance. Holy Life Alliance? 2 glasses of wine. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, and 2 copper coins flew out, and landed in front of the fat rabbit boss. All of a sudden, several people nearby also shouted, I know it, I know it. Isn't it the wild boar man? I have seen it too. No one knows the wild boar man better than me. Chapter 245 Sacrifice? Discovery. Lin Ke looked at the people around him and smiled. I can buy a drink for anyone who gives me information. I hate wild boar people. But if someone gives me random information, they won't survive tonight. As he spoke, Lin Ke's aura shook. A level 7 professional. The young human in front of him was a level 7 professional. Suddenly, the people who were shouting nearby lowered their voices. The most people in the abyss are not the strong, not the professionals, but ordinary people. They are also the ones who live the hardest. Therefore, after a long period of hard work, they have developed their nature of seeking benefits and avoiding harm. No one dared to cheat money and disturb Lin Ke, except for the man and woman just now. Hey, I met a professional. The big man laughed and took the glass of wine without hesitation, then said, I did see some wild boars before, but they were from the Holy Life Alliance. What about the others? How do you judge that they are from the Holy Life Alliance? Lin Ke looked into the big man's eyes. Also, are there any shaman among them? In the common language of Nassing, shaman and shaman are different. Shaman. The big man in front of him thought as usual, without any change in his expression. Is this an ancient profession? It seems that I have heard of it, but I can't tell it apart. When Lin Ke mentioned shaman, he noticed that the expression of the woman holding the girl next to him changed slightly. Why, you know. Lin Ke turned his head and looked at the woman on the right, squinting his eyes. Do you know the wild boar shaman? No, I haven't heard of it. The woman shook her head, then took out a copper coin from her arms. This is the money for the wine. I'll give it back to you. After that, the woman went to the other side to drink. Lin Ke took a deep look at the woman, then turned back to continue listening to the big man's story. But in the end, the big man actually saw those wild boars going to the farm to buy food. They were the team of the Holy Life Alliance who came to participate in the nobles' evaluation. However, there were a few other people who had also seen wild boars, all in other layers of the abyss, but their information was different from what Lin Ke wanted. Later, in order to get along with these people, Lin Ke specially played a few pop songs with his guitar, which was welcomed by a round of applause. Although his attention was always on the woman holding the girl, the woman was also normal and even applauded when Lin Ke sang. Late at night, Lin Ke directly booked a room here in the tavern and then went upstairs, pretending to sleep. It was not until then that the woman who originally held the girl in her arms breathed a sigh of relief, let the girl go, and then hurried away with a normal expression. On the second floor windowsill, Lin Ke watched the woman flee and left, sneered, and hid in the darkness with a hood. His hood is a second level magic item with an optical invisibility effect. It is one of the creations of the Great Wilderness. The woman's expression was different before. It was obvious that she knew something about the wild boar shaman. Lin Ke had to follow her to see and ask. You know, shaman is indeed an ancient profession. In a place like the abyss where there is no compulsory education, it is very good to have heard of shaman. Lin Ke followed the woman lightly, walking through the streets and alleys, and finally the woman returned to an ordinary house. This woman did not seem to have any anti-detection means. She was only concerned about rushing home all the way. It is estimated that, even if Lin Ke did not wear a hood, it would not affect tracking. This residential house is very small, and it seems to be the woman's independent residence. It seems that, although this woman is an ordinary person, she is quite resourceful and has made some money. Lin Ke followed in with an indifferent look. Sure enough, the woman did not go anywhere else after returning home. She lit the oil lamp and walked upstairs. Lin Ke followed closely. Dujun, where are you? Where are you hiding? I'm back. The woman called softly in the dim light. Chamado, did you bring someone back? A clear and pleasant voice sounded, as if it was the voice of a little girl. Just as Lin Ke was about to frown, he felt something rushing at him from behind. Charge. Lin Ke turned around and clenched his fist and immediately used the night skill. Charge. Bang. He punched, and a black shadow was knocked back by him, but his body also appeared. What? You actually followed me? The woman named Chamado was shocked and angry, and immediately took out 2 daggers from her back. I advise you not to move. Lin Ke looked indifferent, and went straight up, and hit the woman's wrist with both hands, and then pinched her throat. Chamado felt that his throat was pinched tightly under Lin Ke's palm, and it was as fragile as dried bread. Don't kill me. Don't kill Chamado. At this time, the figure who had just attacked Lin Ke appeared, and it turned out to be a little wild boar girl. This little wild boar girl had big eyes and 2 small fangs growing from her lower lip, which actually looked a little cute. Wild boar girl, Dujun. Swish. Although Chamado's throat was pinched tightly, and she said don't kill me, she directly stabbed Lin Ke behind her with 2 daggers. She was willing to drag Lin Ke with her even if she died. No need to do this. I won't kill you. Lin Ke didn't move, but Chamado felt that his body was blocked by an invisible pressure and couldn't move. Skill. Air pressure. At the same time, the little wild boar girl was also suppressed. Then, tell me. Lin Ke released his throat and waved his hand gently. The 2 were lifted up by the strong pressure and came to Lin Ke. Who knows the great shaman of the wild boar? He is the legendary one. Lin Ke was deceiving them. Unexpectedly, the little girl of the wild boar exclaimed, how do you know him? Chamado struggled and said, Duchuan, he is deceiving you. He wants to kill people to silence them. Don't say anything. Kill people to silence them? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. I think there is a misunderstanding between us. Then he loosened his guard. The 2 of them relaxed their bodies and pretended to run away. Lin Ke said softly, I just want to have a good chat with the 2 ladies about that damned great shaman of the wild boar. The great shaman of the wild boar. Damned. The human woman Chamado and the wild boar girl Duchuan looked at each other. Let me tell you this, I have a grudge against that great shaman of the wild boar, and now I'm looking for clues to kill him. Lin Ke said with a smile. I don't know whether I should believe you, but you are different from them. Duchuan raised her head and looked at Lin Ke, hesitating a little, but I was once the sacrifice chosen by the tribe's shaman. It was my parents who risked their lives to let me escape. The legendary, great shaman, is the only master of the real grassland. I have never come into contact with him. Chapter 246, the 1st prince, the 5th prince, and the 8th prince. Sacrifice? Lin Ke raised his voice slightly. Live sacrifice? Who is the object of sacrifice? Sacrifice is usually something that some gods did to other races in the mythological era. For example, a catman god likes to eat rat men, so he will order his followers to sacrifice rat men to him. The higher the level of the sacrifice, the richer his gift. Including finding some treasures or doing something, you can submit it through sacrifice. But why would this wild boar grassland sacrifice a child? I don't know. I only know that the object of sacrifice is a child. By the way, they said that because I look more like you, they want to sacrifice me. Dujun looked at Lin Ke. Look like a human. Lin Ke was stunned. Yes, this is the order of the great shaman, and no one in the grassland tribe dares to object. As a child, Dujun is already very mature. After all, he has experienced a lot, and his parents died to save him. Where are you from? Lin Ke feels that this Dujun must be related to the wild boar shaman. The top priority now is not just revenge, but to find the enemy hiding in the dark. If this enemy is the moon goddess and the great prince, it's fine. After all, they are known. I'm afraid it's other forces. I don't know. I only know that our tribe is called the Songbird tribe since I was a child, and the owner of the grassland is the great shaman. The others. Duchuan shook his head. If this is true, then at least a few possibilities can be ruled out. The first thing to prove is that the great shaman of the wild boar man is indeed not from a known place. It is very likely that the plane of the wild boar man is someone's private plane. Then how did you come to the abyss? Is the plane you are in connected to the slayer of the abyss? Lin Ke continued to ask. No. Duchuan shook his head. I'm on the 893rd floor, and I was brought up by Chamar Duo. Chamar Duo? This ordinary woman. You are quite amazing. Lin Ke couldn't help but look at Chamar Duo. The abyss of more than 800 layers is already at the bottom, and it was brought up. There must be all kinds of emergencies. Chamar Duo nodded silently. So, the 893rd floor, whose territory is that? Lin Ke said in a deep voice. 893, a total of 897 layers of the abyss. That is the domain of the Great Prince. Chamar Duo said bitterly. I was once a member of the Great Prince's farm. Chamar Duo began to tell her own experience. Anyway, it was basically because of a moment of kindness that she took in Duchuan, and Duchuan also helped her a lot. So she was alone and regarded Duchuan as her only sustenance, and Duchuan regarded her as her only support. Then she fled. However, in the end, the Great Prince did not pay attention to such a small matter, but only a few of his subordinates were dealing with it. So, among the subordinate planes of the Great Prince, there is a plane with wild boar people. After listening to it, Lin Ke felt that the truth was the great shaman sent by the Great Prince. But I always feel something is wrong. In addition, the sentence of the chief guard, be careful of the light in the morning, has always made Lin Ke feel like a thorn in his throat. Light and darkness have always been the strengths of the Gila royal family. The Great Prince, the Dark Girl, the Fifth Prince, the Eighth Prince, etc. are all laws related to light. The Fifth Prince born to the gardener's wife is the Hand of Dawn, and the Eighth Prince is the Messenger of Dawn. His intuition tells him that there is something wrong with these two princes. But the facts may not be so. After all, the 8th prince had already given the wild boar plane to the eldest prince, but it is not ruled out that the plane was tampered with and framed the eldest prince. I feel that the sons born by Emperor Wumian are not good birds. Lin Ke thought of the soul of Butler Billy who was still in the hands of the Dark Girl, and thought of the eldest prince. You two are not safe here, so how about this? Lin Ke is not an unreasonable person. It is not good for him to break into someone's house and interrogate and ask questions randomly. Of course, he is not such a pedantic person. Giving them some compensation is also a clear conscience. You go to the King's Hotel to find Viscount Garros. I'm the father of Count Lin Ke, and then tell me about your own situation. I can let you live in Dahuang City. Lin Ke said. Dahuang City? The two exclaimed and looked at each other. Yes, the great wasteland city with the school? Duchuan asked timidly. I heard that you can read books for free in the great library? I mean, I just happen to be literate. In Chamar Duo's eyes, the great library is more attractive. School? Great library? Lin Ke was stunned. He didn't expect that the school was the most attractive in Duchuan's eyes, and the great library was the most attractive in Chamar Duo's eyes. But after thinking about it, as a non-noble, the attraction of these two is indeed very great. Can we trust you? Chamar Duo felt that the amount of information he received today was a bit too much. How could he go to the Flame Tavern for a drink inexplicably, and suddenly he could go to the Great Wasteland that he had dreamed of after returning? Of course, there is only one chance. The Great Wasteland and Azan's team will go back after the nobles discuss it. Since Lin Ke had learned the news, he naturally had to go back, so he waved his hand and put on his hood. Chamar Duo and Duchuan wanted to say something, but Lin Ke had already disappeared in the room. The two looked at each other and then made a unanimous decision. Let's go to the King's Hotel today. So the two of them went to pack their things. In addition to the necessities of life, Chamar Duo brought 2 books, Langar List and True Ring biography written by Earl Lin Ke, and Duchuan brought 2 comics, Thousand Changes Zeroing and The Grandmaster of Magic Deo hand painted by Earl Lin Ke. At dawn, the two of them carried their packages and quickly rushed to the King's Hotel. And Lin Ke, pretending to have just meditated all night, walked out of the hotel with liquor, followed Garros, and went to the time and space teleportation array. How is it? Lin Ke did not return to the palace last night, but stayed in the king's hotel to deal with the possible changes after Lin Ke was gone. After returning this morning, they had not communicated much. There are some clues. Lin Ke nodded slightly, took Lin Ke's hand, and wrote the 3 words 1, 5, 8 on her palm. The eldest prince, the 5th prince and the 8th prince. Lin Ke's face changed slightly. Although she is not as innocent as when she was a child, she still feels that her brothers and sisters are actually kind. But she also knew that Lin Ke's scholared wilderness had a strong ability to collect intelligence, and she believed that Lin Ke would not make random accusations. Now there is only suspicion, and we have to wait until His Majesty is questioned before making a decision. Lin Ke is now bent on revenge, and he is quite powerless to rely on himself. He can only see what Emperor Wu Mian will do. Okay, Lin Ke said with a complicated expression, I will always be by your side. If the 3 brothers did that, Lin Ke would not forgive them. She is now making plans. If the 3 brothers ignore her existence and have malice towards Lin Ke, then she will spare no effort to help Lin Ke. Then, the 3 of them set foot on the teleportation array together. Target, the bottom of the abyss. Chapter 247 Shocking the strongest in Nassim. The name of Lin Ke. The bottom layer was not as vast as Lin Ke had imagined, but the space was not big. However, the palace between the mountains made Lin Ke, who came here for the first time, feel an incomparable pressure. The appearance of the palace frightened Lin Ke. It was a plain and unadorned boulder, square, cylindrical, spherical. Stone pieces of various shapes were crookedly built into one palace after another. If Lin Ke didn't know, he would have thought he had come to Stonehenge. This is simply where the savages live. However, in this palace, the breath of countless strong men was mighty, and each of them was at least a legend or a god. The laws and element that were more difficult to perceive than the air outside were as thick as the pulp made from the crushed godhead. The sun, the sea, the stars, the moon, the 5 colors, the flames, the frost, the killing, the fear. All kinds of visions were released without any concealment. In the outside world, it would be easy to cause the sky to collapse and the earth to crack, and it was necessary to control it with all efforts to avoid causing damage to Nassim. But here, their visions could not even make a small splash. And in it, a strong breath constantly suppressed everything. It was the most extreme black and the most brilliant white. The sun was inferior, the moon was looming, the stars dared not flicker, and the sea was calm, suppressing the contemporary, invincible to Nassim. Emperor Wu Mian. Emperor Wu Mian likes to show off the most. Garros pointed to the strange phenomenon that only professionals could perceive, and curled his lips. My mother also said this. Princess Lin Ke agreed, and then released her breath without hesitation. In Lin Ke's perception, it was like a small sprout suddenly appeared in the boundless universe with a pop. This is the breath of Lin Ke, the blood of the tree shepherd. However, such an insignificant breath actually caused the void to shake. She's back. She's back. The little princess is back. I missed you so much, my little sister. Demon, the demon is approaching. It seems I need to go out and kill the star beasts, well, until the demon leaves. Oh, you brought a little lover? I just got feedback recently and need to meditate in seclusion for a while. Pass the order down. Even if my father comes in person, he won't see her. Oh, my favorite little niece. Hug. The breath of each legend was shaking, and Lin Ke and Garros couldn't help but take 2 steps back. This is a kind of deterrence and oppression. Some people are unhappy with Lin Ke and Garros and want to make them suffer a loss and show their power. Humph. Garros snorted coldly, his breath was agitated, and the sound of a huge storm sounded behind him. Torrent. Although it is only a small area, after all, Garros' level compared to legends is like rabbit people compared to mammoths. But their essence is that there is no distinction between good and bad. Hey, a familiar breath. Ancient Azan? Haha, so lonely. It is said that Azan revived a crow swain. Which old friend of Azan is it? HMPH, disgusting smell of torrent. Affected by Garros' breath, some ancient beings revived, including humans and some ancient beings who came to participate in the nobles' deliberation. However, Lin Ke and Garros could only slightly resist the oppression of those legendary visions. Lin Ke was imprisoned by the momentum of love, and Garros was suppressed by the breath of temptation. Neither of them expected that these people would do this. You know, Lin Ke came back easily every time, and Garros was still a little barren when he last attended the nobles' deliberation. However, now, Da Huang and Azan are famous in Gila, and even many intelligent beings in the whole Nasan know the rising star of the Gila kingdom, Count Lin Ke. In the eyes of these ancient and powerful legends, let alone Lin Ke, even Garros can only be regarded as a newborn baby. A baby, actually famous in the continent? That needs to be tested. Therefore, in addition to those relatives of Lin Ke who tried to test him, many people who were curious about Lin Ke also tried to test him. Of course, it would be impossible to do it in a big way, because the black and white that suppressed everything was still floating above their heads. However, it was still okay to test him within the scope of the rules and to teach him a lesson out of love for his sister. However, at this time, Lin Ke saw those visions and thought of Aofu's vision. Teacher Aofu's potential is definitely not just a legend. However, the teacher, there must be a murderer among these people. A person who can manipulate and control the legendary great shaman must not be an unknown existence. Boom. In Lin Ke's perception, the visions in front of him were separated by only a little, but they swept in like a tsunami that covered the sky and the earth, and they were submerged before they could tell who was kind and who was malicious. In the torrent, Lin Ke's consciousness seemed to be thrown into a meat grinder and was severely ravaged and crushed into slag. The air pressure shield and the knight's charge were all like pieces of paper under the flames and were burned to ashes. However, among them, only 3 spots of light stood there, like 3 diamonds left in the burning fire, emitting a dazzling luster. The stronger the fire, the brighter the light. In reality, Lin Ke, who was struggling to stand and almost being crushed, had a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth and his eyes were closed. Haha, you cowardly boy, you dare not open your eyes? You still dream of getting my little sister. Just a human, humph, just Azan. Well, it's better than rumors. Those alien warriors laughed at them one by one, but they didn't dare to curse randomly, and only dared to curse slightly. But when they found that Emperor Wumian and others did not end up as if they were observing, they cursed even more harshly. Is this the person who led the charge? Gila has fallen. Ahem. I mean the nobles except the emperor. Human race, I really think it's ridiculous. No, the human race is strong, but these nobles, what the hell? Ants. A weak stream, a lowly pariah, gave birth to a waste, and dared to claim to be the person who led the charge. I heard that a legend died a few days ago. Oh, so weak. At this moment, I don't know what words touched Lin Ke. He suddenly opened his eyes, a deep red. But, in an instant, a dazzling and terrifying red spread out with Lin Ke as the center, just like a spark on the prairie, and finally swept into a raging trend. People. Lin Ke's face was serious, and between his lips, 2 words spewed out. The red color in his eyes became more and more intense, and his voice was like a huge bell. He clenched his fist, which was stained with a wisp of red, and the 3 light spots formed the most stable triangle. Knowledge, luck, leader. Knowledge is the inheritance formed by countless ancestors through slash and burn farming, stone tablet recording, and word of mouth. There is no innate wisdom, only experience passed down from generation to generation. No one knows how to make a fire, or how to forge iron, but rice cookers and liquid stoves have become a must-have for families. Kangji created characters, Shenim cultivated hundreds of herbs, and hundreds of families saved the world. Knowledge is inheritance. And luck. It is the self-improvement summed up by countless struggles, countless day and night, and countless losers who have gone one after another. All flashes of inspiration need to stand on the shoulders of pioneers. Newton did not start building the physics building from addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, but he learned lessons from countless physicists, and became the lucky one who was hit by an apple. Some people say that the rice god is a lucky man because he discovered that excellent rice. But no one sees that behind this so-called luck is day and night, years like days, hard work, and firm beliefs. The so-called luck is not necessarily luck. Leader. The leader is not the lord, but the sacrifice, the responsibility, the selfless awareness, and the sincerity of being single-minded. Not the nobles, not the kings, not the emperors, not the gods. The leader is the people. But The air began to vibrate, and the red vision centered on Lin Ke was overwhelming. Among them, countless slaves of Nasan were roaring, and countless Nasan bottoms were shouting. Rather than saying that this is Lin Ke's power, it is better to say that this is the power of those two words. The sun can be shot down by arrows, the moon can be crushed by straw sandals, and the stars can be pierced by eyes. The light of the fire illuminates the darkness, the walls of the United will resist the waves of the flood, and the textbooks tame the five-color element. The sun god, the moon goddess, the five-color dragon mother, the prince of the stars, the holy king of the eye of the storm, the emperor of the holy life, the lord of frost, the astrologer, the grand duke of the mountains. Countless visions were ended under the red sweep, and each one faintly revealed the meaning of red, and even the red sword straight up, trying to compete with black and white. Damn it. What is this? Horror. Great terror. Impossible. No one can withstand the storm. My waves. Crush everything. Those beings shouted one after another. Unbelievable. However, as if feeling the power called ancient but actually conservative, Lin Ke's inner strength was aroused again. I'm the people. Lin Ke's eyes shed 2 lines of blood and tears. His eardrums were about to rupture, and the blood on his nose and mouth was extremely red. I'm the storm. I'm the torrent. Lin Ke's right fist swung forward slowly and quickly, carrying the will of the people. Under the red iron fists, gods, legends, masters, emperors, monarchs, kings, chiefs, nobles, lords, everything seemed like bubbles, shattered at the touch of a finger. Even the essence of this red color almost surpassed the boundless black and white. The iron fist moved forward, overwhelming everything. Those visions were almost crushed. Enough. However, at this moment, there was only a light shout with great majesty. Suddenly, the strange vision in the sky cleared up, and countless muffled groans sounded from the clean and simple palace complex built of huge stones. Lin Ke, your body is too weak, you can't force it. A majestic and gentle voice sounded in Lin Ke's ears, and it was actually using an extremely strong force to press the red sky back into Lin Ke's body, the upper limit of this power. Even I can't see through it, so grasp it well. After saying this, Lin Ke's body recovered as before, and his condition was even better than when he just came. If it weren't for the fresh blood in the corners of his eyes and mouth, no one would have seen what happened here. The sleepless emperor. Lin Ke's red eyes suddenly regained clarity, and his heart was shocked. In his soul space, the 3 blood vessels that were originally growing vigorously were now wilted, as if they had been squeezed dry of water. The power just now. Lin Ke looked at his right hand. It seemed that a very powerful force had just been triggered by him. This power was essentially the same as the power he triggered when he was 6 years old more than 10 years ago. Sure enough, even if it was nothing, that power should be correct. Lin Ke had a vague understanding in his heart. Moreover, he also heard shouts. Those shouts, what are they saying? In fact, there is not much difference between his previous life and here. In the ancient times of his previous life, the life and death of civilians could also be decided by the nobles. And in nothing, the nobles are the same. But you have to know that no one is born to be the strongest, and the strongest can also come from ordinary people. Just like Emperor Zhu Yuantang, just like the human race in Nasan. Birth in the previous life can save a lot of effort, but it is undeniable that there are also geniuses who suppress monsters, such as Tezu. Nasan's bloodline can also save a lot of effort, such as Andrew level bloodline, but it is undeniable that Orth, who has medium talent, also relied on himself to fight for the legend. Cowardly people will only look for external reasons, because of the environment, because of the policy, because of parents, because of this or that. Others have noble parents, others have high IQs, others live well, others can get equal rewards with hard work, others have no injustice, others meet noble people, others start higher than the end. But is it really like this? In the previous life, there was a road to heaven, called college entrance examination. Just like now, Lin Ke's war at the beginning recruited talents, most of whom were civilians of Azan. Among them, the hard-working ones joined the People's Knights, jumped from poverty to wage earners, and moved towards becoming his followers, and becoming the class closest to the existence of the nobility. Among them, the lazy ones went home after 2 months of suffering, and continued to complain about themselves. complaining about the unfair fate and misfortune, while playing chess, drinking wine, eating, drinking and having fun. Compared with nassing, the college entrance examination is much easier. There is no need to fight to the death with Warcraft, and there is no need to worry about starving to death. But let me ask, who has achieved the most basic self-discipline and hard work? The college entrance examination is a road to heaven and a channel for ascension. It is a ladder for those who are pretentious and a grade for those who complain about themselves. However, this is a must-have. Natanj, now we need such a road that everyone can see. Thinking about it, Lin Ke made a certain decision about what he would do next. Although he opened a school to be responsible for basic general education, Dahong is a city with a population of 1 million, and that school is about to burst. Education is the foundation of everything and the hope. Although he attaches enough importance to it, now think about it, Dahong alone is not enough. Only basic general education is not enough. There needs to be a transition, there needs to be advancement, and there needs to be an end. The ultimate power here is professionals, so there needs to be a professional university to cultivate the power of professionals, the most extensive mainstay of society. Before the professional university, people need to be enlightened and know what career they want and what career they are suitable for. This should be a middle school, an education that accompanies people's mental maturity. And to know these, to see the heart, and see the nature, it is necessary to give people a general cognition, let people know what the world is, and what it has, that is, the initial knowledge. Primary education, secondary education, and university education. The three must form Nassen's road to heaven, so that all those who are unwilling to accept their fate will have a ladder to hope. Perhaps, it is necessary to talk to His Majesty Wumian. However, at this moment, Lin Ke, who was thinking, was stopped by Liquor and Garros. Are you okay? Lin Ke, Lin Ke. Little Lin Ke. The two were next to Lin Ke, looking at Lin Ke worriedly. Just now, the two of them felt like a small grass hit by two huge waves, and they could not do anything at all. I'm fine. Lin Ke woke up at this time, and gave a look, which made the two relax. Seeing that Lin Ke was fine, Garros immediately spat. Damn, these people, wait until your father becomes a legend, and pick them one by one. Liquor also breathed a sigh of relief, then raised her eyebrows and shouted, Humph. Big brother, second brother, big sister, fourth brother, sixth brother, dark seventh brother, eighth brother, you remember it. Suddenly, Lin Ke felt that there were several vague visions trembling. He remembered that, when the Dark Girl took Liquor away, Liquor almost destroyed the kingdom of the Dark Girl. And Lin Ke was a little embarrassed, feeling that his brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law would be a little difficult to deal with in the future. All of them were legends. Okay. At this time, a kind and gentle voice sounded, come on. Suddenly, a 5-color rainbow light flew out from the smallest and most dilapidated palace built of stone pieces, and came to the feet of Lin Ke and the other two, forming a rainbow bridge. Okay mother. As you say, mother. Liquor couldn't even control the sleepless emperor, but she was only afraid of his mother. 5-colored dragon mother. So Lin Ke and the others stepped onto the rainbow bridge, and were carried to the palace complex. In the main hall, Emperor Wumian closed his eyes, and the entire main hall was shrouded in extreme black. There were two swords, one black and one white, stuck in the ground below. Behind Emperor Wumian, the blood-stained body of the 5-colored dragon mother sat on his left hand, with a kind face, smiling and wiping the machete on his legs, which still had a few viscera of unknown creatures. The 5-colored dragon mother just came back from the void. On the other side behind Wumian, the moon goddess closed her eyes, which were as peaceful as the moon, and 2 lines of pale golden blood that were so thin that they were almost invisible flowed from the corners of her eyes. And behind her was the gardener's wife, who looked like an old woman, gentle and kind, and looked normal and rosy. Behind the gardener's wife were princes and princesses with different auras. They all looked pale, and had suffered varying degrees of internal injuries. Under Wumian were the gods and legends of Nassing, and the strong men of various races, all of whom were Nadim. The struggle between ideas and wills was the most dangerous. The few people who had malicious intentions just now even felt that their understanding of the laws, professional characteristics, and priesthood were a little impure, and were stained with a hint of red. They all looked ugly, but when they saw the two rusty swords inserted in the center of the hall, they had to force themselves to look good. But at this time, Lin Ke's power was just suppressed by Wumian. Everyone was struck by lightning and was affected to varying degrees. Who knows? At the beginning, it was just a struggle of visions. Most of the strong men in Natham. It was like a group of elephants stepping on ants. Who knew that it would become a struggle between will and ideas in the end? That ordinary ant actually had a red dragon that devoured everything in its body. It was injured and wanted to attack. There was Wumian, so bear it. These strong men wanted to cry, but had no tears, and their internal injuries were all suppressed. At this time, Emperor Wumian also turned his head, glanced at his children, snorted coldly, and then turned back to close his eyes and rest. So the faces of the princes and princesses became even paler. The five-colored dragon mother looked at the moon goddess, who was frowning and gritting her teeth on the right side slightly, waved her hand, and a five-color rainbow light flew out to take Lin Ke and the other two. Soon, Garros, Link and Lin Ke entered the palace. Link was the first to take the lead, followed by his father and lover, holding his head high and holding a red metal staff in his hand. Talzic's staff of annihilation. Are you kidding? Link almost broke someone's soul space just now. Of course, the priority now is to save his life. As Link entered the palace, there was no sense of oppression as expected, but instead it was quiet. The strong men who shocked the Nasan continent were all in harmony here, as if a family was having a New Year's Eve dinner together. Turning his eyes, Link saw the two rusty black and white pieces inserted in the hall, and he immediately understood. Your Majesty Wumian, it's an honor to meet you. I'm Link Azan, the son of Garros and Furin, and my apprentices. Oof. Link performed a chest-beating ceremony to show respect, as if he was meeting Wumian for the first time, and Garros did the same. Okay, what are you doing here this time? Wumian's majestic and deep voice enveloped the entire hall. Lin Ke was like a person in an empty space at this time. She ran up and jumped up and got into Wumian's arms. Dad, I miss you so much. So, the majestic emperor became an old father warmed by a little cotton padded jacket, and the strongest breath was released into love. The people below opened their eyes and looked at him like curious babies. You should know that many people have never seen Emperor Wumian like this, but they also knew the status of Princess Lin Ke in the entire royal family. You are already adults, sit down. Lin Ke acted coquettishly, but the five-colored dragon mother shouted helplessly and stretched out her strong arms. Princess Lin Ke was pinched by the five-colored dragon mother by the back of her neck and was taken out of Wumian's arms like a chick and placed next to her. Lin Ke stuck out her tongue at Lin Ke below, saying I can only help here, and then sat down obediently. And those princes and princesses, looking at Lin Ke sitting next to the five-colored dragon mother, were almost envious, including some of the legends below. At this time, they wished they could replace her, become the daughter of the five-colored dragon mother, and enjoy the sense of security of hugging the thick dragon legs. Hugging the thighs, that's how it should be. And with Lin Ke's performance, everyone's eyes looking at Lin Ke changed again. This Emperor Wumian seemed to have announced throughout the abyss. Lin Ke is my son-in-law. 6,000 words today. Just added one more chapter counting it up. It has been added 13 times since it was put on the shelves, so can you humbly ask for a ticket? There will be double monthly tickets at the end of the month, so throw all the tickets at me then. Love you. Chapter 248, the possibility of reversing life and death. Count Lin Ke, he is my son-in-law. The Emperor Wumian, who was sitting on a high place, said calmly. As everyone knows, the Emperor Wumian is a domineering and protective person. Now that he has said this, it means that Wumian protects this person. The five-colored dragon mother rolled her eyes at the Emperor Wumian, as if she was helpless about Wumian's behavior. Lin Ke, who was standing next to him, had almost no change in her expression, and was upright and carefree. By the way, at this time, the Emperor Wumian slowly stood up from his seat, and a terrifying aura poured out of his body. By the way, the legend of my human race, the king of electromagnetism, Lodorf, was killed. What do you want to say? The Emperor Wumian slowly walked down, passed by the strong men on the seats, and looked at their expressions. He walked around from the bottom, then came to the high platform, glanced at the frowning moon goddess, and then glanced at his sons and daughters, and then sat back in his seat. No one is talking. Emperor Wumian smiled and said, "Okay, Lin Ke, tell me the truth when you find it, and I will help you kill him." Wumian said, "By the way, the moon has a skill that can reverse light, darkness, life and death. Even if there is only a little true spirit left, it can be resurrected." Wumian looked at Lin Ke. "Reverse life and death?" Exclamation mark. Lin Ke was shocked, and then was overwhelmed by great ecstasy. "Aofu. Teacher Aofu can be resurrected?" Exclamation mark. It's really a huge surprise. The technology in the previous life was highly developed, but things like reversing life and death were not even thought of. And there is no such thing as resurrection, even if the soul is broken in Nassim. Like Aofu, his body and soul were directly broken into light points. How can he be resurrected? However, he still underestimated the power of Nassim. Can it actually reverse life and death? Exclamation mark. You know, Aofu's soul has been broken. If the soul is intact, a legendary witch doctor may be able to be resurrected. That little true spirit is more like the ashes of the previous life, and it is also the essence formed after Aofu condensed all his strength. At that time, before Aofu died, he also planned to give it to Lin Ke to put in the Great Wilderness Tower, to continue to shine and heat. I didn't expect that this little bit of ashes could actually be resurrected. But Lin Ke frowned and looked at the moon goddess with a cold expression, feeling quite powerless. Why was it the moon goddess? This high and mighty god, the executioner who wanted to kill the Azan people, the thief who almost completely ruined the Azan family. Whenever Lin Ke saw the moon goddess, he would think of those childhood memories. But that was teacher Aofu. When Lin Ke was entangled for a moment, the five-colored dragon mother above was desperately winking at the moon goddess, and Lin Ke also looked at the aunt who had been very kind to her when she was a child. The moon goddess's frown relaxed slightly, looked at Lin Ke, and said in a cold voice, "Give me a complete body and soul of the master, and in exchange for a legendary lore or godhood, I will help you reverse Aofu's life and death." Reverse life and death? Exclamation mark. But the price? A complete body and soul of the master. A powerful existence of level 28. Even in the open, there are only 3 masters in the kingdom of Gila. This is just the price of reversing Aofu's life and death, not counting the consumption of the moon goddess. The price offered by the moon goddess is a lore stripped from a legend, or the godhood of a god. Not to mention the overlord and the legend. Now a star level enemy can turn Azan into history. But now Link thought again. It seems it wasn't the moon goddess who sent the wild boar shaman to attack them. You know, the moon goddess has Wumian watching by her side, so it is really difficult for her to assign a powerful legend to assassinate them. But it may also be done by the Great Prince. Lin Ke destroyed the Great Prince's plan and calculations, and the Great Prince must be resentful. But there is a very important reason. That is, the moon goddess and the Great Prince don't need to take action at this time. Maybe it's because of Wumian, maybe it's because of Lin Ke, or maybe it's the reputation of Crow Swain. Lin Ke has grown up intact for so many years without being subjected to conspiracy, persecution, and trickery. Why take risks under Wumian's nose? You can kill him after the Noble Council. Wait. When Lin Ke thought of this, he suddenly connected many things. Noble Council. This time's Noble Council is very special. The Earl of Tulip that I met before heard the news from Grand Duke Greenleaf, so only people like him who don't like fighting and killing came to participate in this Noble Council. In the past, the Noble Council was very simple, just testing the strength of the corresponding level. For example, if an individual bursts out with a strength of level 15, he is an Earl, and if the entire knight group bursts out with a strength of level 15, it is also an Earl. Or if you create a level 15 magic item, cultivate a level 15 potion, and so on. When you reach a certain level, you can maintain this title until the next Noble Council. It will not be downgraded until the person representing the strength dies, or the legion representing the corresponding strength is gone. For Gila, it is not too easy to test the strength. But this time's Noble Council is different. The strong men from the entire Nasan continent are here. It's like an alien invasion, grand and important. This proves These people are all stacker holders. So, a certain force took action against him. After all, Earl Lin Ke will definitely participate in the Noble Council. This time is almost known to everyone. The teacher of Earl Lin Ke is a newly promoted legend of Nasanj, and he is also a thunder-related law known for its destructive power. Lin Ke thought it was a personal grudge before, and the eldest prince had reasons and motives. The Holy Life Alliance had no grudges against him, and he basically ruled it out. But now it seems that perhaps the suspicion of the Holy Life Alliance cannot be washed away. Lin Ke's eyes unconsciously looked towards the front row. On the left was a reindeer that looked like an ice sculpture. It was the current chief of the Everfrizz Council, and finally the frost giant deer. And on the right was the former head of the 5 holy lives of the Holy Life Alliance, the sun god. Lin Ke looked over, and his eyes were stung by the dazzling light, and 2 lines of tears flowed. So he quickly turned his head and looked to the other side. Not far from the sun god, there was a rat man with a rat head and a human body, wearing extremely gorgeous robes. It was the current monarch of the Holy Life Alliance, the first person under the Holy Life, and the one who commanded the upper life, ordinary life, lower life and slave life. As a ratman belonging to the slave life, he became the monarch of the Holy Life Alliance. It must be said that there must be a lot of stories. But Lin Ke was also alert because of this. If this person who was very timid and cowardly in the rumors and very legendary in reality was plotting against him, then he must pay extra attention. It seemed that Lin Ke's eyes attracted the Ratman monarch. He smiled at Lin Ke in a friendly way, and the beard around his mouth and nose trembled. Chapter 249, Evolved Artifact Fragments. Lin Ke did not laugh. He continued to calmly glance at the other strong men present, trying to remember all of them in his mind. Among them, several gods who were neutral to humans were also present, but they were ranked closer to the gate. The goddess of wealth, the god of love and pleasure, the old man of harvest, the beginning of hope and Mr. Noble, 5 neutral gods. As for some gods, who had lost their personality and mind and were obviously reduced to tools, they were not in the hall. With Lin Ke's powerful brain power, he remembered all the faces or the laws revealed by just a glance. After going out, he could draw them with sketches, and then recognize them one by one. When he met them in the future, he would at least have some idea in his mind. But at this time, Lin Ke had nothing to say. Originally, he thought that speaking here would be like the TV series in his previous life, talking nonsense. Who knew that the Emperor Wu Mian was straightforward, without a few words of nonsense, and directly named the topic, telling Lin Ke's purpose, and even said those words to protect his shortcomings. It can only be said that as the first person in Nassang, Emperor Wu Mian does have the confidence. Your Majesty, I have nothing else to do, so I'll take my leave first. Lin Ke hammered his chest, winked at Garros, and turned to leave. Okay, go. Wu Mian waved his hand, then looked at the others in the palace. Since Seofu has a chance to be resurrected, then this noble review will proceed normally. After the 2 of them left, under the chairmanship of Wu Mian, various voices came out in the hall, and began to discuss this noble review meeting. After leaving the hall, Lin Ke's robe of the 3rd level magic item was soaked with sweat. The pressure is really great. Lin Ke's face was pale, and his body was a little unstable. He was supported by Garros next to him. Little Lin Ke, are you okay? Garros' eyes were full of concern and guilt, but he often couldn't help at all. Many times, all he could do was to stand in the appropriate position designated by Lin Ke when Lin Ke needed him, instead of acting on his own initiative, which would only cause trouble. It's okay, father, it's just too much consumption. Lin Ke waved his hand, and the 3 saplings in the soul space were shaking vigorously, absorbing magic power crazily. Fortunately, the magic element and laws here can be said to be the most concentrated in the entire Gila kingdom, which made Lin Ke absorb a lot easily. Count Lin Ke, Viscount Azane, His Majesty ordered you to follow me to the rest area to wait. At this time, a professional wearing white armor came to Lin Ke and said to them. This white armor professional looked imposing, and was at least a level 15 strong man. White Knight, one of the Black and White Knights of Emperor Wu Mian. Thank you. Lin Ke and Garros thanked him, and then followed the White Knight forward. The houses here are all built of huge stones, which are extremely simple, but both the inside and the outside are filled with the golden and magnificent light of the law. Lin Ke couldn't help but sigh that the truth of the humble house is applicable everywhere. The three walked through the stone houses one by one and finally stopped in front of a stone house that looked a little better and more luxurious. The more quaint and simple the stone house is, the older and more ancient it is. Even the hall that Lin Ke was in just now was not the oldest stone house. The oldest one was an extremely quaint stone house, which was in the deepest part of the palace complex. According to Lin Ke, she herself had never been there, and only the contemporary king could go there. And this rather luxurious stone house was naturally built by later generations. However, there was no inlaid space in this stone house. It was just a simple and spacious stone house with several stone pillars as stools. There was a white knight guarding the door of each stone house, and they were on high alert. The white knight took them in and left, leaving only Lin Ke and Garros. Lin Ke sat down and immediately closed his eyes and began to meditate. The series of confrontations just now consumed too much energy. Garros was the same. But at the same time, they also gained a lot. It was a battle of laws, a battle of wills, and a battle of the essence of thoughts and souls. It makes sense that a sword is sharpened by grinding. Lin Ke had never been exposed to this kind of battle before, but now that he had been exposed to it, his soul seemed to have been polished. Now his soul space was a red color, and the three bloodlines were crystal clear like red crystal glass trees. At the same time, he took out a rotten wood block with a dead leaf on it. This was the reward the system gave him before, the artifact fragment dead leaf. This leaf was discovered during the Bloody Road, but Lin Ke was busy investigating the death of Aofu and didn't take a good look. Now, in the Gila Palace, Lin Ke can be said to be very safe. Is this the artifact fragment? Garros asked curiously. It's put together? Garros was also a used artifact fragment, otherwise he wouldn't have been promoted to level 15 so quickly. Yes. Lin Ke nodded, not afraid of being coveted by others, and checked it carelessly. After all, it was the bottom of the abyss. After all, there was Wumian. Even in the great wasteland city, it was not safe here. Wumian just stretched his feet and came. If you can resist Wumian's pressure to covet his broken artifact, it would be better to covet Wumian's black and white swords directly. The original artifact fragments and rotten wood blocks can only speed up his element absorption speed, giving him 1 or 2 huge wood element every day. And now, it seems that there is something more. Lin Ke was exploring, and Garros was also meditating. At this time, several more people appeared in the rest area. These are some people with gills near their necks, and there are strings of water drops around them, with strong water vapor element. Mermaids. This is the power of the star and wave ocean. After these mermaids came in, they just looked at Lin Ke for a few times, and went to the other side to rest. After a while, someone else came in, a few huge delta bears from the Everfrizz Council. These two waves of forces are probably waiting for their respective superiors to have something to say. But after that, 2 more waves of people came. The desert giant lizards of the far west countries, and the upper life of the Holy Life Alliance, the Minotaur. Among the Minotaur, Lin Ke also saw the Minotaur he met in the Scholard Wilderness space, when he was dressed as a bard buck. People from several forces are all here. As for the Gila Kingdom, there is only Lin Ke at present. However, Lin Ke did not observe other people, but continued to close his eyes and look at the artifact fragment in his hand. Suddenly, the rotten wood in Lin Ke's hand emitted a very slight law fluctuation. Law fluctuation. The weak law fluctuation is also a law. Lin Ke felt that holding this rotten wood in his hand, he could actually feel the weak law breath of air pressure and temperature. Law. That's the law. This field can only be entered after reaching level 15. Even many people with poor talents may stop at level 15. How can you advance if you can't feel the law? And Lin Ke is only level 10 now. If he can feel the law at level 10 and try to use it. Chapter 250 Greedy Competitors. If Lin Ke could comprehend the law for a long time, he would probably be able to fight against opponents of higher levels. Fighting against opponents of higher levels. It's okay at low levels, but it's rare after level 10, unless there is a night group. When the rotten wood in Lin Ke's hand trembled slightly, curious eyes suddenly came from all around. Those eyes were curious at first, then gradually turned into surprise, and then turned into greed. Law. The thing in the hands of this human actually enhanced the affinity of the surrounding laws. Even those who were not far away could sense the fluctuations of the laws that were difficult to feel in the past. What's more, it was the human holding the tool. However, this was the capital of the Gila kingdom, the abyss, and it was at the bottom of the abyss. So those eyes became restrained. If it was in their territory, they would have already snatched it one by one. Human. But a minotaur couldn't help but speak. I want the thing in your hand. I'll trade with you. This minotaur was tall and majestic, and his thick chest muscles looked like two huge pieces of granite, looking extremely strong. Lin Ke opened his eyes and looked over. The minotaur had a strong desire in his eyes, targeting the rotten wood in Lin Ke's hand. Sorry, no change. Lin Ke shook his head. The aliens in front of him all had a deep aura. The lowest was level 15, and the highest was level 17. But even if it was the merman at level 17, Lin Ke was not afraid. Aliens were like this. The most powerful power came from individuals. And when Lin Ke, who was level 10, led the People's Knights to charge, a strong man at level 17 could also compete. What's more, thanks to the turmoil in the past few days, Lin Ke is now about to break through level 11. Is that so? Okay then. The leading Minotaur scratched his head, but didn't say anything else. However, the Minotaur's words seemed to turn on a switch, and people from several other forces also tried to speak. Human, give me that thing. I guarantee that you will not die in the noble's deliberation. Among the mermaids, the handsome mermaid man spoke. The mermaid man looked arrogant, with a strong aura, and the water vapor around him glowed with a faint light. I'll keep you alive. Lin Ke glanced at the mermaid, and didn't bother to reply. It is said that mermaids are the kings of the deep sea, similar to the superior life to the Holy Life Alliance. It's just that there was a mermaid kingdom in ancient times, and the current Star and Wave Ocean is composed of a series of seabed tribes, scattered and unsystematic. Even many times, the forces on land don't take the current Star and Wave Ocean seriously. The seabed is extremely chaotic, the strong are independent, the weak are in groups, and they fight constantly. It's like a monster. And there are only a few races that have truly leapt into intelligent life. The most powerful of them is the mermaid tribe that is spread all over the seabed. So many mermaids are born arrogant. After all, they were born in an environment where other lives are mentally retarded. Human, do you know who he is? Seeing Lin Ke's nonchalant look, another mermaid next to the mermaid immediately scolded. He is the descendant of the Star Reef mermaid, and he has the blood of the stars in his body. Star Reef, where Prince Xingqian once grew up, is now regarded as a holy place. Lin Ke as an ordinary human, but I'm now in the palace of the kingdom of Gila. Lin Ke lowered his eyes and replied softly, not even bothering to look at them. Count Lin Ke, I know you. The leading mermaid snorted coldly, I can allow you to be my servant. If I'm satisfied, you will have the opportunity to get a reward for your stargazing opportunity at the Star Reef. The ocean of stars and waves, a place where the entire starry sky is reflected. There, it is easier to comprehend the laws related to the stars, including the moon goddess and the star prince are examples of them, and they are also the best among them. But not the entire ocean of stars and waves is the same. There are some exceptions, such as some reef areas, coral areas, etc., which have more concentrated laws and element. Comprehending the laws in those places will get twice the result with half the effort. But Lin Ke is not short of feedback, so why bother? Even if there is a lack, the kingdom of Gila has a place to comprehend the two most powerful laws of light and darkness, so why go far away? The desert giant lizards from the far west countries also spoke up. Count Lin Ke, you humans all like gold coins. Can I buy it with gold coins? The desert giant lizard that spoke was covered with earthy yellow scales and had a strong smell of sulfur. They walked upright and looked like lizardmen, but unlike lizardmen, their entire race had transformed into intelligent life, always had a complete heritage, and also had their own country. Gold coins? No. Lin Ke had nothing to say about this normal inquiry and directly refused. Unless you give me a completely stripped legendary lore or godhead, I won't exchange it. A legendary lore or godhead. Even if they had it, how could they give it to me? In the final analysis, what Lin Ke had in his hand was just to enhance affinity. After absorbing the complete godhead, one can directly become a god, and the legendary lore can make people fully comprehend a lore. Even if they have it, it is impossible to exchange it. So the desert giant lizard had to shake his head regretfully and let it go. The minotaur next to him was the same, and he was even poorer and couldn't even afford the gold coins. Heh. The mermaid sneered. It won't be yours when you go to the battlefield of the nobles discussion. If you keep making noise, I'll kill you first. Lin Ke glanced at him calmly. The mermaid's eyes suddenly blazed with anger. How dare you talk to me like that? Lin Ke was too lazy to pay attention to him. If this mermaid could really go to the Star Reef at any time and feel all kinds of laws, why would he care about the rotten wood? After feeling the laws, he gave the rotten wood to Garros again. Garros was too lazy to pay attention to those people from beginning to end. The pride of the Gila nobles was reflected in Garros. Garros was the most iconic noble. Father, this can comprehend the laws. You try it. Lin Ke can also comprehend the laws now. But Garros can do it too. After all, he can already feel the weak laws at level 15, and it will be more effective if Garros uses it. Okay. Garros took it calmly, ignoring the looks around him. He earned his title through fighting. He dared to stab the moon goddess with his lance, let alone a mermaid. However, not long after, they were summoned, including Lin Ke. They went to the hall just now. There were only a few people in the hall. The Rat King of the Holy Life Alliance, the Star Prince of the Ocean of Stars and Waves, a member of the Everfrizz Council, and the eldest prince of the Gila Kingdom. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.